Welcome back to the live stream. We are back. All right. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Welcome back. It is currently 1:08 p.m. and today's date is the 6th of December 2024. The year is coming to an end. We probably have 24 days to go. How are you doing this beautiful afternoon? With that being said, today's topic is the updates on America. Okay, updates on America on a Friday. Okay, it is Friday. Are you getting ready for your weekend? What are you doing today? Okay, what are you guys doing today? Let me know in the chat. Are you at work? Are you ready for the weekend? Shout out to Ellie. You know what time it is, Ellie. Ellie, where have you been, bro? Out in Chicago. Let me know. Let me know how Chicago going, bro. Yeah. All right. So on the updates, what do you guys know about the manhunt in New York concerning the United Health Insurance CEO? Let's see what Jake Tapper has to say. Ellie says, getting ready for work. Probably gonna leave this in my ear while I work. Great space. Shout out to you, Ellie. Yes, sir. All right. Jake Tapper. Okay. Jake Tapper has the updates on the manhunt in New York. Let's see what he has to say.
CNN has just obtained new video that appears to show the gunman who killed the United Healthcare CEO yesterday. New York police confirmed they have seen this video as part of this investigation, showing someone riding a bike around 7 a.m. yesterday. This video is from after the shooting outside the Manhattan Hotel. It marks the latest in the day that we saw the suspect. Today, we've also learned about even more new evidence in the case, including a smudged fingerprint recovered from a water bottle left at the shooting scene. This hour, we've got a number of experts and analysts with unique insights into this investigation, including a former NYPD detective, to explain what is happening behind the scenes right now. I'm also going to be joined by the New York City councilman who represents the Manhattan borough and the former chief security officer of Boeing, who joined an emergency call with dozens of other security officials in the wake of this attack. All of that in moments. We're going to start, however, with CNN's Omar Jimenez, who's live for us in New York. And Omar, several clues have popped up today, from new evidence to surveillance footage along the route that the suspect took. What are you hearing from NYPD officials about the pace of this investigation and the new evidence?
Yeah, so at this point, the pace seems to be going steadily. We heard that from New York Mayor Eric Adams, but also that these are all pieces that investigators are trying to put together. One, to figure out who this person is, on top of where this person might be. And as you were just talking about, we did get new video today showing the latest in the morning of the shooting that the suspect was seen. This is on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, about 30 blocks north from where I am right now. The suspect is seen riding a bike, and law enforcement has seen this video, and they tell CNN they do believe this is likely the gunman. That direction is also north, with a route that could take you through Central Park, which is where law enforcement say that this suspect was seen fleeing toward. We also learned today that they searched a hostel on the Upper West Side, which is where they believe the suspect was staying prior to this shooting. And then they released new images unmasked of a person of interest that they say they want for questioning. Note that they did not use the word suspect in the images that were released of the unmasked person, but again, a person of interest they say they want for questioning. And again, all of this comes as law enforcement is trying to figure out, again, who this person is and where this person is. Now, for perspective, this happened Wednesday morning here outside the Hilton Hotel behind me. And when this suspect fled the scene, he was seen on camera prior to this at a coffee shop nearby, and then, of course, on camera during the shooting. Police found a water bottle left over and a cell phone as well. They're trying to get into the cell phone, but also on the water bottle, they did find a fingerprint, but law enforcement officials tell CNN that there's a smudge on that bottle, which may make it a little bit difficult for that evidence to be conclusive, I should say. So these are all sort of the pieces that they are trying to put together to try and, again, get a clearer picture of who this person is, much less where this person is. But of course, every day that goes on, the mystery grows as well, and leaves people questioning how this could have happened and how this person could have disappeared seemingly without a good trace, at least in the immediate steps of this street.
All right, Omar Jimenez in New York City for us. Thank you so much. CNN's John Miller's back with us. He was the Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism of the NYPD. John, you're also hearing something.
Now, if they have not gotten a hold of this person in 2-3 days, I mean, everybody trusts the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They believe they're going to find this person. However, the more days, the more time you give this person, which they are not literally giving this person the time, it's just that this guy may be gone in no time. Okay? If you haven't found him in days, hopefully his face is in the airports and everywhere where he doesn't have to get on a flight and get out of the United States. So this has to be like a worldwide search at this
Think
point.
about a possible fake ID. Tell us more.
So when the person of interest, who police believe may be the gunman connected with this homicide, checked into this hostel where he stayed a couple of days, that was on November 30th. So that's that picture we keep seeing where he's taken the mask down. The question that we were asking today was, well, if he checked in and they're trying to identify him, who did he say he was? And he apparently presented, we are told by law enforcement sources, a New Jersey driver's license, and that the New Jersey driver's license had a name, had a picture. But when the NYPD contacted New Jersey State Police and ran that through the DMV, that license number comes back to nothing. So apparently it was a relatively good quality fake driver's license, the kind you can order up on different marketplaces and on the internet, that he used to satisfy that ID. Here's something interesting, though. You know, the two roommates he had in that hostel said he never took the mask off. He always had the hood up. But in this picture, he has the hood up, but he takes the mask down. I'm wondering if, as he was checking in and handed over that fake driver's license, if the desk clerk might have said, can you lower the mask, so he could compare his face to the picture and make sure he wasn't someone else. Of course, the picture matched. The problem is, apparently he's someone else.
Right. And this brand new video after the shooting, the NYPD's photos of a person of interest's face, the words written on the bullets, the water bottle with the smudged fingerprint, the possible burner phone left behind, a missing backpack. I mean, this is a lot of evidence. What stands out to you the most?
Well, what stands out to me the most is that picture where you can see the face, because out of all of those clues, the police may get a print off that phone. They may get into that phone and find what numbers were called. But once you see his face, if you know him, you're gonna know him, and you know you're crowdsourcing that to millions of people, dozens of whom, maybe hundreds of whom, depends what his social network is, may know him, and they've gotten an increase in calls. Now they have to sort through those tips and see, this is how you do this. Do we get a lot of tips about the same guy, the same name? Because that shows somebody who should go to the top of the pile. Or B, are we investigating the background of one of these people and we see characteristics that lend themselves to possibly the motive behind the shooting? And that gets you also to the top of the pile.
John, take a listen to New York City Mayor and former NYPD Captain Eric Adams earlier today.
In all of my years of law enforcement, I have never seen a silencer before. And so that was really something that was shocking to us all.
Okay, so granted, I watch too much TV, but are silencers really that rare, especially when it comes to New York City murders?
So they are. You know, New York City is a place that has its own share of gun violence, and most of those guns are not silenced. That's why, you know, the shot spotter alerts, you know, the acoustic system can tell police that shots are being.
It's true, because when you watch TV, all you see is silencer. It's like, how come silencers are so rare? And this is the mayor of New York saying, of course, he's been in the police department. You know, it's like, wait, I never seen a silencer before. When it comes to these types of situation, when it comes to these types of issues, And I'm like, wait, you've never seen a silencer before? I have never. But in fact, I only held a gun once when I went to the gun range. So it's like, you know, so I mean, if you've never seen a silencer in a case like this, that means this guy has to be some sort of professional. And the previous news we've been hearing about this guy is he's not a professional. If he can come to the sense that he has to use a silencer, or come to a sense that he has to use a silencer, then he's some sort of professional, really.
Being fired even before people call 911. A silencer is the kind of thing, as you hinted, Jake, that we see in James Bond movies, in spy pictures, in movies about assassins. It's rare, but the laws have changed regarding silencers, so they are easier to come by based on adjustments in the federal rules and regulations. We're starting to see them advertised more. In the ghost gun field, where people manufacture their own guns out of parts that have no serial numbers, that are untraceable, you can also manufacture with a kit your own silencers or order them for those pieces. And there is a particular gun that they are looking at in this case because of the profile of the gun that's in the picture, that is a gun known to be used by professional assassins, that actually is a bolt-action weapon, which is similar to what we see when we think he's clearing jams. He may be just racking the slide as the weapon is designed. And they are looking into that weapon now to see, well, are there any registered in the general area? And if so, who owns them, and so on.
Interesting. John Miller, thanks so much. Thousands of police-monitored and private surveillance cameras around Manhattan are aiding investigators in their search for the shooter. But agencies are also relying on what they've learned from past manhunts. Here's Tom Foreman.
Look no further than 2 years ago. Passengers on a Manhattan-bound subway huddling and racing
Whoa.
for safety after a man inside dons a gas mask, tosses a smoke bomb, and pulls a pistol.
He then fired that weapon at least 33 times, striking 10 people.
There was people screaming for medical assistance. It was just a scary moment.
Authorities will later say the suspect had a careful plan to escape, fleeing with the crowd, changing clothes repeatedly, and using a burner phone to track the manhunt. But police, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the FBI, and others tracked the origin of the gun, scrutinized video camera footage, implored the public for help, and in 36 hours, Frank James was arrested. He's now serving 10 life sentences plus a 10-year consecutive term in prison.
We were able to shrink his world quickly. There was nowhere left for him to run.
In this city with more than 300 murders annually, there have been plenty of cases with few clues, like the improvised bomb left on a porch in Queens in 2017 that killed the elderly man who opened it.
What you see behind me, we will be here for most of the night with lights and a
I'll be
continued
right back.
canvas for evidence.
There, too, police say the suspect tried to hide his trail, but investigators dug through physical evidence, computer files, and more relentlessly for 7 months, then made an arrest. Since then, by all accounts, the tools and expertise have improved.
They have an enormous surveillance network of video cameras in New York. We also have the public very closely engaged in this, which can help a lot.
So, with evidence from the scene of this latest case, a digital track of the alleged gunman's suspected movement, and now unmasked photos, authorities believe the net may be tightening.
We have footage from Starbucks, we have footage from outside the hotel, and I have confidence that we're going to bring this person into custody.
Simply put, when you are in a city, there's a good chance on any given day that you are watched dozens and dozens of times from doorbell cameras, from security cameras, from people assigned to security, all sorts of tracking, not to mention, Jake, the devices we wear, the phones we carry, the exercise watches, all of this may have a geolocating unit to it. And that's why this type of crime, as shocking as it is getting harder and harder for people to ultimately get away with.
We have a new video just in showing what appears to be the suspected CEO killer on West 55th Street before the murder. The man in it is stopping by a pile of trash. With me now is Kenneth Corey, former chief of department and chief of training for the New York Police Department. I want to play a portion of the surveillance video where the shooter steps out behind Brian Thompson. And obviously this video is disturbing. We're not playing the entire thing. Let's, as we watch this, what stands out to you in the shooter's stance, his demeanor, the way he's handling the weapon?
So he's clearly had some training in firearms, right? I mean, this isn't the first time that he's picked up a gun. It's not the first time that he's fired a gun. It's probably not the first time he's fired that particular gun. His stance is really unimpressive. It's really sort of awkward. But I think what strikes me most from the video is the fact that while he's had some training in firearms, he's undisciplined in his approach. And, you know, he takes that first shot probably at a distance of less than 5 yards, right? They're pretty close together. And again, hard to tell from the video.
Right. The reporting yesterday was like 20 feet or so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it looks a little closer to me on the sidewalk flags there, but it could be. You know, and hard to tell from the video, but it looks like his first round strikes Mr. Thompson in the left leg.
Right.
Right? So low left is what you get from an undisciplined shooter.
Why, I mean, at that close range, he seems to have time and a steady hand. Why would he be?
He just, his grip is a little off, and he jerks the trigger a little too much, and when he does that as a right-handed shooter, it's gonna, the round is gonna go low left.
The fact that there was jamming, is that, I'd read some that the silencer or the suppressor, I'm not sure if there's a difference, but I'm heard it's called both ways, that might have affected the jamming.
Yeah, so that's what it appears to me, right? That the addition of the suppressor to the pistol, the way that type of pistol works, is the recoil blows the slide back.
Okay, so there it is. Yep. That's part of the video where you see him.
Right. So the suppressor reduces the velocity so much that the slide can't fully cycle back and forward. It's not a jam, it doesn't look like in a conventional sense, and it also looks like he's anticipating it. So he knows this is going to happen. I fired tens of thousands of rounds through pistols. And when you experience a malfunction, there is still that momentary like, hey, why didn't this work the way I thought it would?
Is that because of the suppressor itself?
I believe it's the addition of the suppressor that causes that.
And could that have impacted, I mean, if he was unfamiliar with suppressor, could that have impacted why the shot was hitting the
No, I think it's clear to me he's fired that pistol with the suppressor attached before. It looks like he's anticipating that malfunction and is able to very quickly remedy it. It's not a jam in the conventional sense where the spent shell isn't ejecting properly and is lodging in there. It's that the next round, the next live round, isn't fully seating in the chamber.
It's interesting because, you know, yesterday a lot of people were saying, well, look, he looks calm, cool, and collected. And, you know, with the jamming, he didn't freak, he didn't run. He walked toward the victim to kill him. But he also dropped the bottle. He also dropped a phone. He also left behind these shell casings. So does that, I mean, you don't know what's going on inside somebody's head or the adrenaline that's pumping through them.
No, I mean, he seems to be very calm, very composed. You know, I think as others have said, he's not a professional. He's focused on what he's doing. He's done a lot of pre-planning. And yet still that inexperience, you know, I think leads him to drop that first round.
Why do you think he was spending 10 days in New York City? I mean, if you don't want to be seen, it seems like he was going out a lot.
You know, I don't think that he fully puts the picture together and just how far the NYPD is going to go in collecting video. And they're not just going to take it from the crime scene to his escape route. They're actually going to rewind now, and they're going to try to account for all 10 days that he spent in New York City. And whether it was, you know, 1 day, 5 days, 10 days, they're going to pick up every piece of video that they can and stitch together a total timeline of his time in New York City. And I don't think that he anticipates that. I don't think that the average New Yorker would anticipate that. You know, I think he knows in that area with the dense camera coverage that the crime itself is going to be captured on video, and he wants to take precautions to mask himself. He doesn't realize that he's also going to be looked at in the time period leading up to that.
It also interests me that like the backpack hasn't been found. I mean, if he's in the park for 15 minutes or so, riding from the crime scene to, you know, or maybe 10 minutes actually in the park itself, there's not a lot of places for the backpack to go.
No, there's not. But I mean, Central Park is pretty large. I mean, an e-bike will travel pretty quickly. I mean, it could be tossed into some underbrush. You know, he could have stuffed it in a rock formation, or as John mentioned before, somebody else just picks it up and walks off with it.
Right. A manhunt like this, within the police force, how many personnel would be working on something like this?
So listen, I mean, you've got, you know, on something like this right now, you've probably got 1,000 plus.
Wow.
You know, between video collection, between canvases, between running down different leads. When that undoubtedly, when that photo of him, somewhat unmasked is released, there's tips pouring in, probably tips pouring in from across the country. And they're going to run down every one of those tips. Most of them are going to turn out to be dead ends, but one or two of them are going to be something that takes them off in the right direction.
Chief Kenneth Corey, thank you so much for your expertise.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you.
Breaking news, new details just into Outfront about the killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Sources are confirming to us right now that Thompson and his wife Paulette, who has said she is shattered by his murder, were estranged. This is other friends and colleagues are trying to come to grips with Thompson's murder. Police, of course, seeking answers tonight. And Whitney Wild is out front with more.
Affectionately called BT by his friends and colleagues, those who knew 50-year-old Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, say he leaves behind a legacy of compassion and leadership. He spoke to a Reuters conference in 2021.
These are the building blocks to support the triple aim of higher quality care, lower costs, and a better healthcare experience for the people we serve.
He's survived by his wife, Paulette, and 2 children. Sources tell CNN Thompson and Paulette were estranged, and property records show they lived in separate but nearby houses. Paulette has spoken twice since the murder, but declined our request for an interview, instead issuing this statement. "We are shattered to hear about the senseless killing of our beloved Brian," the statement said. Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives.
If you'd look at his class of 93 classmates, they would all tell you that they knew he was going to strive to be something big.
Thompson's roots run through Jewell, Iowa, where he graduated as the valedictorian of his class at South Hamilton High School in 1993. His former teacher, Todd Coy, still remembers his character and charm.
He was humble, an outstanding student. He was liked by all, which was a testament to why he was probably our class president. He was homecoming king his senior year.
Thompson graduated from the University of Iowa in 1997, again as the valedictorian. After nearly 7 years as a CPA at a consulting firm, Thompson climbed the ladder at United Healthcare, earning the title of CEO in 2021.
He was a champion.
Adam Yerby is the board director of the Special Olympics and Thompson's former colleague at United Healthcare.
We're certainly excited, all of my colleagues across United Health Group, to help these athletes prepare for what is the highest level of competition.
Thompson worked with the Special Olympics several times and was named honorary co-chair for the 2026 Games.
You have somebody who was incredibly smart. He was very good at the work he did. He was had this attention and he would get into the details. He also had this great energy.
We know that millions of our members experience complex health issues each year throughout the year.
As the head of a health insurance giant frequently at odds with customers, Thompson's career recently met controversy. Earlier this year, he was the subject of a class action lawsuit alleging insider trading. The lawsuit accused Thompson of dumping 31% of his personal United Health shares, amounting to a $15 million profit, before the public knew about a Department of Justice antitrust probe into the company. The filing claimed Thompson and others exploited their positions, breached their fiduciary duties, and violated the company's code of conduct. United Healthcare didn't comment on the lawsuit.
Aaron, as if this family hasn't been through enough, last night they were the subject of fake bomb threats at both Brian Thompson's house and Paulette Thompson's house. The Maple Grove Police Department saying plainly that was a swatting incident and that it was a hoax, Aaron.
All right, Whitney, thank you very much. Harry Sandick is out front, extensive experience with white-collar and securities fraud cases, also former assistant U.S. attorney with the Southern District of New York, and was the acting chief of the Violent Crimes Unit there. So, Harry, looking at this from every perspective, just starting where Whitney finished, though, as they are trying to figure out motive here, there are, there's people who may have been denied coverage, that there's that motive, which obviously is front and center. Here, accused of selling a third of his shares and pocketing $15 million ahead of shareholders taking a loss on inside information. A lawsuit like that, I know you think that may not be related to this at all, but it does seem like a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and what would happen in the case is they would have to figure out, if the case were to go forward, sort of what portion of the sale price was attributable essentially to the artificially inflated nature of the stock price. That the idea is that it was higher because there was an undisclosed investigation. So the lawyers would have to figure out, and the judge would have to figure out, well, how much higher? So these kinds of cases, they're serious, but they're brought every day. Anytime a stock drops the company is sued, the executives are sued. So it's hard to know if it's more than that, and there are other potential motives.
All right. So now let's talk about that, because you were also acting chief of the Violent Crimes Unit in the Southern District of New York. So a murder like this, I mean, you are talking about the largest city in the United States. You're talking about New York. Anybody walking around, Darren Porcher, former NYPD, was saying last night, 100 to 200 times a day, you're videotaped.
Mm-hmm.
And this young person, we are now 36 hours later, is still on the lam. I mean, have you ever seen a murder like this in New York?
So I've never seen a murder like this. Most murders in New York are either related to other criminal activity, like drug dealing or armed robbery. That's primarily what I prosecuted. Or the district attorney prosecutes murders that are often people who know each other, or intimate partner violence, terrible cases. But something like this is unusual. Now, there are cold cases. People commit murder and get away with it. There are unsolved murders. New York is not, by far, is not the most violent place. It's one of the safest places in the United States. But there are unsolved murders in every city, and those often involve people.
This guy just say New York is one of the most safe places in the United States. I don't know about that.
Who covered their tracks, as he, at least for the first day, seems to have done.
As he is for the first day. All right. So, when he walks by that moment, that giant Hilton, and you worked across the street from there, and we all know there's just so many entrances. So to know that someone is going in the side door, that side door, on that place, not on that block, on this block, at this time, and then you see the suspected shooter a few minutes before the shooting on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at this, do you think, how likely is it that somebody else may have helped him?
It's certainly possible, and it could have been inadvertent. It could have been that he learned from someone who let it slip the hotel that the victim was staying at. And so he figured, well, if he's coming from that direction, the most likely door he'll use is this side door here on 54th Street. So it seems, at least number one possibility, he did a ton of research to know exactly where he would be, or some piece of information slipped to him.
All right. Harry, thank you very much.
Brian Thompson's death has set off a scramble across corporate America, particularly in the health insurance industry, to reassess security for top executives. Mr. Thompson, as we reported, was walking without a security detail at the time of his killing. Now, sources tell CNN several major healthcare providers have begun increasing personal protection for their key officials. Our Randy Kay spent the day with a specialist who's protected CEOs and public figures around the world. Here's her report.
You're looking for anything that's kind of off, something that doesn't make sense, something that doesn't fit in.
Anton Kalazhin is always on the lookout for trouble. For more than 2 decades, he's been working as a personal protection specialist for celebrities and CEOs around the world.
So I would prefer if we hug the wall a little bit more.
Here in downtown West Palm Beach, Florida, he showed us some of the tactics he and his team at Guardian Professional Security use. Protection starts before his client even gets out of the car.
And you put your hand on the door. This is called plating. And the reason why is because your body is here to make sure that nothing gets closer to your client than you.
This time, with me in the back seat, we got to see firsthand how this sort of protection works.
Stay with me on the street side.
Yep. You're by the wall, you're not by the street. I have full access to anything with my eye. I can see everything around me. But we're walking very normal. I'm not walking too paranoid.
And then as we walk in,
I cover you over here and we walk you in. I'm still looking behind me. And then we open the door.
Kalazhin says he prefers taking clients in through side entrances or back doors, but some insist on using the front door.
I would walk from behind you in the beginning, and then as you got closer to the door, I'm looking around. These are glass doors, which are great for us because that allows me to see everything on a 360 view before I get you in there. And then once we get you in, I make sure nobody comes behind you. I'm still right behind you here, and anything that comes around you, no one's going to get closer to you than me.
And what if a bad guy were to show up suddenly behind me or one of his clients, like the shooter did when he shot the United Healthcare CEO in New York City?
I immediately put my body in between you and the threat, and then if I see them approaching closer and closer, now I have to engage with them and I have to turn around. And you can see I totally eclipse your body, so if anything happens, it's going to happen to me and not to you. That's the job of bodyguards. That's what we do as close protection agents. We have to make sure that a principal doesn't get hurt. So then at that time, I would draw my weapon.
Caleb Gilbert, another expert in executive protection and president of White Glove Protection Group, says his security teams have a variety of training.
Each agent has their EMT, medical certification, so that they're able to respond in a medical emergency. They have driver's training. They have hand-to-hand combat. They have verbal de-escalation training. When appropriate, the weapons training.
His goal? Stop the threat before they have a chance to act.
Our protective posture is set up so that we respond pre-incident. The assets that we have in place to be able to identify, is this person who's waiting outside this event supposed to be there? Do they have pre-attack indicators? Are they using micro expressions that would indicate aggression or nefarious intent?
As he and Collagen have learned,
Everybody to you has to be a suspect until they're not. And it's unfortunate we have to think that way, but it keeps our clients safe.
And Anderson, our experts told me that in many of these cases, these CEOs just don't want this protection. They don't want to be seen as someone who needs protection. So now they are offering something that they called covert protection. This is really a protective bubble, as it was described to me, that can expand or contract depending on the threat. The agents are there, the team is in place, but they can move in closer if they do deem that there is a threat. Anyone who enters that bubble has to be identified, but then they can back off if it does seem that their client or their protectee is not in danger. And this is really now being put in place in some of these cases, I'm told, Anderson, because these CEOs don't like the idea of this close protection right there on top of them.
Yeah, Randy Kaye, thanks so much. We're joined now by former Secret Service agent Jonathan Wackrow, who has years of experience in private corporate security. You see the video of the assassin, shooting or preparing to shoot. If he had had one security person, would that have really made a difference?
It could have been enough to be the deterrent to stop that attack at that moment, right? It's difficult to say, how effective it would have been, but it was more effective than nothing. And having that agent, deploying different tactics, site agents would have walked that route beforehand to make sure they don't see the same person. So multiple sightings over time and distance is a factor when you're dealing with executive protection. If I just saw that person loitering by that door 10 minutes ago, now I'm walking down the sidewalk with a protectee and that person's still there, I may change the route. Sir, let's go across the street. Let's get away from what could be deemed a potential threat. It's not going to impact our route that much. It's not going to impact the time of arrival. So those little micro movements in executive protection are the deterrent factor from potentially launching this type of horrific attack.
Obviously.
Shout out to everybody who tuned in. Average Joe, Ellie, God bless you. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis with this situation right here. Look, this guy knew 1000% what was going on with this United Health CEO. He knew where he was going to be. He knew where he was at. He knew what time he was going to get out of the hotel. He knew because he was waiting outside. He was waiting from the gate. He knew. Okay. He knew. This is like people are saying this is not a professional. It's not this. It's not that. This guy looks like a professional to me. This is my opinion. Okay. This guy looks like a professional to me. He had his hoodie on, his mask on. He used a silencer. And the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, says he hasn't seen a silencer case in forever. Okay, this is like James Bond movie type stuff. This ain't no joke. And I don't know if they're still gonna, it's been 2-3 days. They haven't found this guy. And people are now being skeptical. They're saying this guy is a girl. How does that even work? I don't know, man.
As Randy was talking about, close protection, that is quite onerous for an individual, with their family, however it may be. It also attracts.
And what do you guys think? Do you guys think this is personal, or do you guys think this is something related to him being a United Health insurance CEO? Maybe he didn't pay out an insurance plan, and a lot of people are feeling like, okay, maybe this guy, maybe the reason why we're not getting our payout when we lose a family member. Maybe. Maybe somebody is feeling hurt. Somebody felt hurt and then decided to take action into their own hands rather than, letting the law take charge. However, Bernard says this is definitely personal. I don't know. Do you guys think this guy's like an assassin, or this is something he wanted to do for himself or a family member? Like, what do you guys think? Or maybe he's just watching too much movies, or too many movies.
Attracts attention in some cases. Do you find that a lot with clients, that they don't want, the close protection?
There's always an allergic reaction to executive protection. Why? Because it's intrusive into your life. It's intrusive in every aspect, from scheduling to losing a lot of privacy. And the more executive protection you put on, the more of that privacy is taken away. So naturally, corporate leaders who may never have had that before, they ascend into the position of CEO. Let's use that as an example, and all of a sudden, it's a board mandated structure that's put around them. Yes, they have that pushback. They don't want it. But what they have to think about, it's beyond them. This is about the continuity of the organization as a whole. It's a structure that's set up that's part of being in that role. You need to be protected because the company depends on you. Shareholder value depends on you. So it is an essential part. And the event the other day, this tragic attack, actually just said, highlights that this is no longer a luxury, should never be seen as a luxury or a benefit.
Shout out to Nikki Lee. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Look, the CEO of the biggest insurance company in the United States just got killed. Okay. So now insurance companies around the United States are looking like, yo, we got to get professionals to protect us. We got to get professional bodyguards, protective details to safeguard us. Well, yes, but also insurance companies have been sort of kind of known to be to have a lot of too many bad news around surrounding them. A lot of people complain insurance company don't pay out, da 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 da. Everybody has their own reservations, okay? But the deal is be good. That doesn't mean people are not going to do bad things to you, even if you're good. But get get protective details, okay? If you have that much power, if you have that much financial gain, and a lot of people are surrounding you that need you. Of course, he had a meeting that day with maybe some board members. So, of course, get protective details. However, SAG says they are thieves. You see, Hingle says, I want more of this. Says, like, most people are going to say, well, this guy is a thief or whatever. The fact is, somebody's life got cut off. Okay, that's not something that is okay. Even if you have a problem with these guys, you should take them to court. You may never win though, but maybe you will win. Who knows? However, it's like let the law decide. Let the law decide. Do not take charge or the law into your own hands. Okay, let the law decide. With that being said, what is going on here? Who is this person? And why did he want the United Healthcare CEO gone?
It's an absolute necessity for some of these individuals.
How much of the job that you do is about the actual protection around an individual at any one time, and how much is analyzing, mail threats that come in, phone threats that come in, or is this a real threat, the likelihood, things like that?
Well, you can't have the executive protection function without protective intelligence, right? You have to understand what are the threats that you're facing. And the reason being is through protective intelligence, you're going to be able to do the right threat assessments. You're going to be able to look at that threat landscape and say, well, do I need one person or do I need 5 people? Do I need people armed? Do I need unarmed? Do I need them overt or do I need them covert? All of these factors are intelligence driven, and it's a threat-based methodology, something that the Secret Service had started, but now is paramount in the private sector.
All right, Jonathan Wackrow, thanks so much.
Wow, it's getting spicy, everybody. It is getting spicy for sure. I just hope they can find this guy. I hope they can find this guy, because if they cannot find this guy, that is going to be a big issue. I think we have more updates, recent updates. Let's see. Back to CNN.
Shimon Prokupecz starts us off from the hostel on Manhattan's Upper West Side. What's the latest you're hearing from authorities?
Yeah, so Anderson, investigators spent the day here behind me at this hostel, focusing on the 4th floor where some of the folks who are staying here told us the individual was. Investigators spent this day here questioning some of them. The suspect entered Central Park here after the brazen early morning killing. We now know that police have reviewed footage of what appears to be the gunman exiting the park nearby on West 77th Street. And this new video obtained by CNN shows a person police believe to be the gunman riding westbound on West 85th Street. 7 a.m. video captures what appears to be him on his bike coming around this corner, heading this way. And as you can see in the video, he's not wearing his backpack. 18 blocks north, police began to search this hostel Wednesday afternoon. The NYPD released these images of what they're calling a person of interest checking into the hostel. Police released the first clear images of a man they want to question in connection to the murder. They say the man stayed here at this hostel in a room with others on the 4th floor. Police were back here today speaking to people who have been staying here. We're told by the folks who are staying here that they saw the police on the 4th floor. We're also told by hotel management that when you check in to this hostel, they do ask you for ID. Police say employees at the hostel say the man almost never lowered his mask or hood. And a law enforcement official tells CNN the shooter used a fake New Jersey ID to check in, a full 5 days before the murder. Another new piece of evidence, this video, time-stamped at 6:15 a.m., shows the suspected gunman leaving the 57th Street subway station just 3 blocks from the scene of the crime. 30 minutes later, Thompson would be fatally shot. Then there's the words delay and depose found on a live round and a shell casing at the scene. Are they signs of a motive? Police now exploring whether they are a reference to a derogatory phrase leveled at the insurance industry for denying claims. Investigators also have a water bottle from the shooter left behind at the scene. CNN learned earlier today that it yielded a single smudged fingerprint.
Shimon, what are, investigators focused on specifically tonight?
So it's interesting, Anderson, because our team, we've been going up and down Broadway and some of the surrounding areas trying to find surveillance video. And even late tonight, just about an hour ago, we were a little downtown towards 85th Street. We're at 103rd Street. We saw detectives going into different shops and restaurants, still looking for video to try and find out where the suspect is. It seems like they have a pretty good idea of when he got here, how he got here, some of his movement at that time. But at this point, it just seems they don't really have any idea, or at least they're not telling us of where he went, where he is. And it's a big mystery. You know, a city of this size with so many cameras everywhere, it's still very interesting that they still have no idea where he is, where he went, and they're still, to this hour, out here looking for video of where he went. Anderson?
Shimon Prokupecz, appreciate it. With me here tonight, CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller. Also joining us, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McKay.
What are the chances of finding this guy? What are the chances of finding this guy? If you haven't found this guy in 2 days, right? 2-3 days, I guess. If you haven't found this guy, what do you think will happen? Look, I'm not part of the FBI or whatever, but the more time you cannot find this guy, the more time you give him to escape and flood a way to get out. This has to be like a worldwide search at this point. Okay, this happened when? When did this happen? Was it 2 days ago? Well, early yesterday. This happened 2 days ago, early yesterday. So the more time you give him, the more time he's going to find to escape.
Cabe and Brianna Fox. She's a professor of criminology at the University of South Florida and a former FBI special agent. John, at this point, at this hour, I know you've got remarkable sources. What's the latest you're hearing? What stands out to you at this hour?
That he was here way longer than we believed. We thought he probably got to that hostel, stayed a couple of days for the specific purpose of just going there that day and doing that shooting. But now he knows he comes in on the 24th. So he's here about 10 days. He's doing reconnaissance at the Hilton. He's moving around the city. He's seen it at McDonald's. He's in taxis. He has to obtain this bike at some point, and the police don't know when or where that happened. So he's been busy preparing. But we have to consider, why is he at that hostel? He's staying in a room for 4 people with 2 roommates, so he's the 3rd person. Here's a guy who never lets down his mask or takes down his hood, or both at the same time, which is why we only have that limited moment of that photograph. So he's committed, he's professional acting in terms of discipline, but he's obviously operating on a shoestring in terms of finance.
Well, also, why spend 10 days in New York City knowing there's cameras everywhere, knowing, if he's going to commit this assassination, that this is all going to be looked at?
Well, because he is clearly aware of that. When you look at what the work the NYPD is doing, and these video canvas teams are among the best in the world because they do this not just on the big cases, they do this on all the cases because the video is what the district attorney expects, what juries want to see is, can you show me a movie of his whole day? And in a case like this, it's essential. As Shimon told us, they have him here, they have him there. They're back out there tonight trying to plug the gaps of where can we get him in the space between these two captures. They never found, not yet, that money shot where he takes down the hood and takes off figuring like, this has nothing to do with what my crime is going to be. His discipline of staying that way.
Question here is why are most of the people out here supporting this guy? Why are they saying, I hope he's long gone? And Dave says, trial by jury, our boy will be good. First of all, he ain't our boy. Okay. He ain't our boy. But okay, I know you guys don't like the insurance company, but this is somebody's life. This is somebody's father. This is somebody's uncle. This is somebody's husband, brother, maybe a grandfather, who knows. But you guys chill, okay? This is somebody's life we're talking about.
It was incredible.
Except for this flirtatious moment, which is why he took down the mask.
And that's because, he's there and, the woman at the counter is laughing with him and she says, let me see your face. Now, is that because she's looking at the driver's license he's handed her and she wants to see, is this guy the guy in the picture? But it wasn't described that way. It was they were having a flirtatious moment and he pulls it down and he gives the big smile. And that one informal moment between two human beings remains at this moment the most significant clue to date in this whole case.
Andrew, the cell phone left behind, why would it be so hard for law enforcement agencies to get into a phone?
Yeah, so this is something that law enforcement at every level has been struggling with for the last 10 years. Anderson, and that's because of the ubiquity of end-to-end encryption and these incredibly secure kind of locking programs that we have on most phones. Even when, thinking back to my own time in the FBI, even just dealing with, let's say, iPhones, when we would take in an iPhone on a significant case, whether or not we could get into it had to do not only with the model of phone that it was, but also the specific iOS version that it was running. So you might be able to get into an iPhone 7 running iOS whatever, but you couldn't get into one if it was running a different iOS. So it's a very complex matrix of hardware and software, and that's kind of what determines whether or not law enforcement has the capability to.
Shout out to everybody watching the live stream. You know what time it is. So people are saying, do you care about the families that the insurance companies destroys as well? Yes, absolutely. I 100% understand. However, United Healthcare isn't Brian Thompson. Okay, Brian Thompson is just another face that was elected as the president of the United Healthcare insurance company. So he didn't make the rules and the laws and the regulations that governs this insurance company. Okay, he's just another man trying to make a living for his family. Okay, y'all can have whatever reservations you have about the insurance company. However, he's just a man trying to feed his family, just like you are trying to feed your family. Everybody's trying to make sure their family is good. However, sometimes, you might end up in the wrong company doing probably bad things to the mass majority of people. Okay, he's not like the person who started this whole thing. Insurance companies have been doing what they've been doing for years. Okay, decades. Okay, he's just he's the CEO. Yes, absolutely. He is the CEO. CEO means Chief Executive Officer. Okay, not the founder. There's difference between a founder and a chief executive officer. Okay, is it a founder of United Healthcare Insurance?
get past that locking mechanism and essentially open up the phone. And once you get into the phone, then you're dealing with the problem of encrypted content. So some users are not as disciplined and they keep things like text messages and those sort of records on their phone so you can read it off the device, but others are better at having messages expire and automatically deleted and things like that. So it's far more complicated than it seems from the outside.
Professor Fox, what does it tell you that the shooter apparently was in New York 10 days before the killing, and and to John's point, staying in a room with other people, obviously on a budget, but not hiding even in some cheap hotel, sharing a room with other people, exposing himself?
Yeah, it's really interesting behavior because he's
Wait. Y'all tripping right now. So I'm supposed to support this gunman for taking somebody else's life? That's what I'm supposed to do? Because I'm just supposed to assume that this guy, this Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, is definitely responsible for a lot of people's passing away and not paying insurance out. I'm just supposed to assume and say, you know what? I don't care about his kids. I don't care about his family. I care about the gunman's family because the gunman is doing the people's job. He's doing what the people want. Is that what I'm supposed to say? I'm just supposed to say, yes, I agree with this gunman. What are you saying? Like, what are you saying? People do the wrong things for the right reasons, and people do the right things for the wrong reasons, okay? Regardless of how you feel about this situation, this right here was wrong and is wrong, okay? You don't take somebody else's life because you're not God. You did not create that person. You don't know how this person lives their life. You don't know who is dependent on that person. Now, can you sue the heck out of the person's life? Yes. Okay. Yes. But do not take the law into your own hands. All right. You can't be taking laws into your own hands saying, you know what? Look, I got to do what I got to do. Mm-mm. Okay. Everybody's doing what they do for their family to eat. At the end of the day, every man is doing what they can for their family to be okay. Regardless of if you're the president of the United States, well, the president of the United States is different because now you are supposed to be a public servant. You're supposed to be working for the people. That's why politics is different, okay? If you decide to be a politician, that's different. But insurance isn't politics, okay? They're in business for profit. It is a for profit organization. So wake up.
obviously concerned about apprehension, but my take would be it's not necessarily because he's, thinking he's going to avoid apprehension forever. I think it has more to do with the fact that he doesn't trust law enforcement, doesn't trust the system. I think that was part of his motive to begin with. I think he actually is banking on the fact that he probably is going to get caught. That's why he left some of the messages that he did. But I think he thinks that the average citizen is going to take his side in this. I think he really views this as like a vigilante type of an act. And he's hoping that when and if, the cards come down for him, that he is going to have sympathetic jurors on his side.
And that's true. And that's true. Like the jury may let him walk, but I don't know if this is gonna have the jury making a decision because if he is found guilty, it's like found guilty. But I don't look. People have their own reservations, but I would never support anybody for taking somebody else's life, no matter who the
Trail
person
of
is.
clues to catch a killer who's been on the run for more than 50 hours now. And there's a significant new development to report to you. The person of interest.
So it's for more than 50 hours. So that's 2 days. 2 days and 2 hours. Okay. 2 days. So look, you guys can have your own opinion about this issue. My opinion is do not take somebody else's life because you feel like you can. No. No, 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 no. You can feel hurt, but nah, we ain't doing that.
Interest was last seen on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, exiting Central Park on 85th Street Wednesday morning. That's where CNN's Shimon Prokupez is right now. And Shimon, you have that information and some additional information about DNA.
Right. So there is now DNA that investigators believe they have pulled off some of the evidence that they recovered at the scene in that alleyway where, as you'll recall,
Exactly, Amanda. Shout out to our Joe too. Amanda says his death changed nothing. His death changed nothing. What you think? Because you guys, okay, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, we're going to change the whole insurance company. The whole insurance industry is going to be changed because United Healthcare CEO was martyred. If anything, you're about to be squeezed. Okay, if anything, you're about to be squeezed because it's like, yo, you want to fight back? All right, let's have it. So whatever you're doing and thinking you're doing, it ain't working. And this isn't the way to solve the issue. Okay. It's just like when Biden won in 2020. Okay. In his mind, he felt like, well, no Republican is going to come back here anymore. But guess what happened in 2024? The 47th is Donald Trump. Why? Because the people spoke. The people get fed up and then the people change stuff. No one vigilante guy. All right.
the suspect was seen fleeing. So they believe there is some DNA there, and they have submitted it to the New York City Medical Examiner's Office, which are the folks that would pull it and test it and see if they could perhaps find some kind of match. The importance of that is also, you have to keep in mind that investigators are building a criminal case. And right now, since they really don't have a lot of evidence per se linking him to the crime, when you look at that video, you see him from the back. Perhaps they have other information, but what we're starting to see is that they're starting to hopefully eventually hope to arrest him, and then they have to prosecute him. And so we're starting to see them develop some of that information and evidence for a potential prosecution. But as you said, Dana, quickly, we're out here on West 85th Street. This is the last place that we know of. There is video of this man fleeing from the scene. This is the last place that we saw him in video, riding on his bike up 85th Street and going down the street here. And we don't know, as he approaches Columbus Avenue, does he make a left, does he make a right? We don't know that. What we do know, just based on our own work on the ground, he doesn't drive past Columbus Avenue, west of Columbus Avenue. We've looked at videos on that street. He's not there. So where he is obviously the biggest question right now. It's kind of hard to believe that in a city of this size that he would be able to hide so in this sort of large area. That's what's going on. And police tell us they're looking for him. They're trying to identify him.
Oh, yo, so I just saw a comment on Anastasia during surgery. So now, insurance company halts plan to put time limits on coverage for Anastasia during surgery. So are you guys saying it's because of this gunman? Is that what you're saying? Hingle and Ed Dubuque. I mean, I don't want to butcher your name, bro. Are you saying it's because of this gunman this happened? Because this just happened like 17 hours ago. So this gunman is changing things for the world. Is that what you're saying? Yo, this is wild.
And they're looking for him. The other thing is, Diana, we haven't had a lot of information publicly from the NYPD since the hours after this. They have not held another briefing, and there could be a number of reasons for it. So for now, all we have is really the information that we've been able to gather on our own here on the streets, and certainly from sources. And we'll wait to see if at some point the NYPD gives us any updates.
Just one quick follow-up, Shimon. The video that we just showed that you and our team have been reporting on of the suspect riding the bike, and did that end, we believe, with an entrance into Central Park? Because that's the area where it looks like he is.
Right. He leaves the park somewhere around 77th Street and rides north here and then makes a right to go west. The other thing I think, and I failed to mention,
This is what I believe, okay? If you do bad in this world, karma would get you, okay? If you do good, karma will still get you, regardless of what you do. You live a good life, karma would get you. You live a bad life, karma would still get you. So it could be good or bad karma. However, I wouldn't be the person to administer the karma to you. I'll let the universe do it. So if it's the universe will that, whatever happens to you happens to you. It is what it is. It is what it is, okay? However, I personally cannot, in good conscience, because of the kids this man has, support the killer. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Now, what he's done may change some situation in the insurance company and the way they move, which they should have been doing it in the first place. Those are things that the people deserve in the first place. So if this guy right here changes anything, so be it. But I cannot, in good conscience, support this killer when this guy has children.
Down was that what's really also critical here is when you see him in that video, the backpack that we see him in the initial video when the murder occurs, we don't see that backpack. So that evidence now is gone. We know that law enforcement was searching the park for it, Central Park for it, but so far they've been unable.
Shout out to Farmer Sam. Farmer Sam says, uh, yeah, Farmer Sam says, so you don't support killing under any circumstances. If you threaten my family, yeah, you're gonna have to go. But like, I don't know this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know this guy. I don't know if the CEO of United Healthcare threatened the gunman's family. I don't know because what do we know? We're just trying to get information from the news media. But however, it's like if you threaten someone's family, I think you should get what you get. Just like threatening my family, I mean, bro, that's like no brainer. If you threaten my family, my daughter, then it's over.
To locate it. So obviously already as he's riding, as he's making his getaway, he's thinking of ways to get rid of evidence. And so far, law enforcement has not been able to find that.
Yeah, God, thank you for clarifying that. So he's going west. People not intimately familiar with the geography of Manhattan, meaning he was going away from the park towards the Hudson River. Don't go anywhere, Shimon. I want to bring in former Maryland State Police Commander Neil Franklin. Thank you so much.
Hingle, you are so wrong. Look, I voted for Trump, bro. So like, I don't care about, oh, you're an immigrant, you have to appear like non-threatening. No, I just told you, if someone threatens my family, the person has to go. So I don't care about your feelings about me being an immigrant, bro. Nobody cares, okay? I'm already a United States citizen. So whatever you think and say, oh, maybe because you don't want to sound like you're threatening or whatever. I just told you I cannot, in good conscience, support a killer. Okay, because like it or not, he is a killer and he killed somebody's father. Okay, the man has kids. Can't you get that through your head?
So much for being here. Let's start with the news that Shimon just brought us about the DNA evidence. Obviously, DNA is critical, but you have to know more information when you have that DNA about who that person is in order to make the connection, right?
Right. So obviously, DNA evidence is extremely critical in a case like this where we have limited physical evidence at this point. First of all, the NYPD is very good at what they do. So physical evidence from the videos that they're collecting, we don't know everything that they have. And relative to this DNA evidence, even if it doesn't lead us directly or
This is the thing, right? You can support this dude. I'm not saying do not support this guy. You have the opinion, your right to think what you think, how you think. Support this guy. You can support this guy. But I cannot, in good conscience, support this guy. He has kids. I got a 5-year-old daughter, okay? Like I told you, everybody does what they do to support their family. He was doing what he was doing, working for the insurance company to support his family, okay? That's what every logical, reasonable, responsible man, adult, would do. Adults try to take responsibility. Okay. So if you are saying that the man is the devil for working for United Healthcare, because a CEO is still a worker. Okay. He is a worker. He was doing all he could to support his family. But karma got him. Karma got him, okay? Karma would get you regardless. Like I said, if you do good or you do bad, you're gonna get good karma or a bad karma, okay? So everybody's doing what they can to support their family. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, so you can have your own reservation and support the hero. Okay, like you said, this guy's a hero because he's doing what you wish you can do. I know some of you wish you were the one that did this, but That's just BS. I can never support them.
Immediately to the perpetrator, who it is, the identity of the person, by collecting it, say, from a water bottle, from a discarded cell phone. Maybe we get lucky and discover the backpack and there's more DNA evidence there, maybe the bike and so on. By being able to match that DNA among the items, the shell casings that were discovered at the scene, right? Maybe we get lucky and discover and find the weapon itself. So the importance of that DNA will link one item to the next, and then eventually to the perpetrator, the guy we're looking for.
And Major Franklin, the motive, that is still not really known. We have some clues,
Absolutely.
like what was written on those shell casings.
Absolutely. So right now what a lot of people are thinking is, okay, this is directly related to his position as CEO of United Healthcare. And some of the things that we're hearing about the insurance industry and denying claims and so on, what was scribed or written on the shell casings about, delay and deny and so on. That's, in a sense, leading people initially to that being the motive. But you also, criminal investigators.
Wait. So there's a inscription on the bullet. Is that what I just heard? Delay denial. So what? Is that the motive? Of course. Of course. Well, like I said, good karma gets you, bad karma gets you. But if you guys think the CEO is the founder, there is a difference between a founder and a CEO. Now, that doesn't mean the CEO doesn't have the memorandum of what is going on in the company. He knows and he chose to do it. So, life is life.
Investigators have to think of everything. Could that be a diversion? I mean, could that be intentional to have us looking in a particular direction?
Interesting.
Could it distract us from someone else? Basically, what I'm saying is, unfortunately, we even have to look at family. We have to look.
And this is the thing with people, right? Like Hingu says, hurting people to support your family ain't right. Absolutely, it's not right. However, everybody has an iPhone, right? Everybody has an iPhone. Everybody has a computer. Do you know how iPhones are being made? Do you know how the chips are being made in iPhones? Do you know that there's been claims that underage kids working for peanuts in a very, very bad condition and environment, and you're using iPhone, you're using computers, you're using stuff in your homes. Your kids are probably using this stuff. So what are you gonna say? Not live your life because you've heard those claims, which is most likely true. Like life is life, bro. Like life is life. It's never gonna be fair. Will never be fair. It is life. Okay.
Dig into his personal life, friends and family, what's going on there. We can't leave one stone unturned as it relates to motive.
When you say that, obviously, to talk to his family, you have to know who he is.
Absolutely.
DNA evidence is important for, first and foremost that, but also ultimately for a trial, as Shimon was saying. Do you think that they know who he is? Do you think that they have his identity?
It's a good chance. It's a very good possibility with these new photographs that he has that they already know who he is. It's a very good chance of that. But I want to say something else that I know these criminal investigators are looking
you are the
into
funniest.
as it relates to motive.
You are too
There
funny.
have been times when
Said he
people have
spent a little to
orchestrated
get it
their
from
own
South
demise
Korea.
for certain reasons. We know that there are some. And I'm not saying this is the case, but as an investigator,
Like for insurance purposes?
Absolutely, insurance purposes. Maybe they fear some type of investigation down the road. Maybe they want to leave their family in a good light. But there have been cases where people have orchestrated their own demise. And here's another reason.
And
why
just
I'm
to
saying
say, you're saying in a nice language, you're saying that it is a possibility.
It is a possibility
that he
cannot
hired
be
somebody
ignored.
to kill him.
Absolutely, it cannot be ignored. And this is what is really digging at me.
And that is another conception right there. That is another concept right there. Like he may have hired someone, like this guy said, don't rule that out because y'all are saying this guy may be a vigilante. What if this man contracted someone to do the do? What if somebody did this for him?
As a former criminal investigator, this guy knew too much about where he was going to be at a specific time There's no evidence that I've seen of him. When you look at the timeline of him coming to that area outside of the Hilton and where he was outside of the Hilton, it's a very small window. Very small window. It's not like he was roaming around. We have video of him roaming around, going from one door to the next, trying to figure out where he's going to be at a specific time.
He knew.
He was there. He was laying in wait. Who would have that specific type of information as to what sidewalk he was going to be on?
Okay. Wow. Well, that's
saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way a criminal
to-
investigator's mind works,
how
and
your
it's
mind has to
important.
work.
It's important. Shimon, I'm going to bring you back in. You know, you have covered so many crimes and things like this. I'm sure you could be an investigator inside the NYPD yourself. What are some other things that you are looking at and you are asking your sources there about how they're how the manhunt is going and what they are looking into?
Yeah, well, I have to say that theory that your guest there just sort of relayed, that's really an interesting one, right? It's not one that many of us have thought of. It's really, really interesting.
I actually already thought about that because anything can happen when it comes to these types of things. Because I mean, it's insurance company. Okay, who knows the kind of payouts he has on him? Who knows the kind of insurance plan he has on himself? So who knows? Okay, nobody knows, and he's already been investigated for insider trading. All right, so if he's already been investigated for insider trading, who knows what he's already deep into before this whole debacle happened? Nobody knows. Okay, this is still investigation.
I think for right now, for the NYPD, the big thing is to identify him. You know, for all we know, they may be close. They may know the identity, and they're just not telling us, right? They work through these things. It's really interesting how law enforcement works. They don't want to tip their hand too much because they sometimes worry that the person they're looking for is watching media reports, or sometimes they may be tracking the person, and they don't want to let the person know that they know who they are. So that may be what's going on here. I mean, we're on day 3 here. I do think it's really interesting that we haven't heard from the NYPD since Wednesday. Yes, they put out a tweet yesterday, but we've not heard from them. So they're continuing to work through this investigation. Obviously, where the backpack is, that's a big thing. If they don't have the backpack, if they don't have the murder weapon, it's going to make it all even harder for them down the line for this prosecution. It really is. I mean, because I was thinking about this today, Donna. We don't really have, the NYPD may have this, but they don't really have any video at this point or evidence that we know of that directly links this person, that they can directly, with, you know, beyond that reasonable doubt, identify him. So I think that's part of what is happening too and what they're working through. And so they really need to continue to find the smallest of pieces of evidence to link this person to an eventual prosecution if they're apprehended. So that's what's going on. And obviously the motive here is so important, and I think they're working through that here, but also, you know, through his work and through where he lived and where his family lives and other relatives. All of that is happening behind the scenes. And even till late last night, we saw investigators out here just up the street looking for more video, making sure they didn't miss something. So a lot of detectives are on this case. They're doing a lot of work, and hopefully we'll get some. I really think it's important for the public, especially as we head into the weekend, to try and get some more information from the NYPD once they can do that.
Okay, so this is similar to, well, probably not similar, but this is sort of like the same case with Danielle Penny. I don't know if you guys know anything about Danielle Penny, with Jordan Neely. I'll play you this right here. I already gave you my perspective on. Look, I already gave you my perspective concerning the United Healthcare CEO and the gunman. Okay, I could never support the gunman. However, karma is real. Guess you, whether you do good or you do bad, there's good and bad karma. Okay, it's gonna get you regardless of what you do. You do bad or you do good, it's gonna get you. But I don't see how I can, in good conscience, support the gunman. Okay, the gunman cannot be supported by me because the United CEO guy has he has kids. Okay, he has kids, and that's it.
This Fox News alert, we are on verdict watch in the New York City criminal trial of Marine veteran Daniel Penny. The jury just sent a note to the judge. They are deadlocked on the first count in this case. This is manslaughter in the second degree. CB Cotton at the courthouse in New York City. CB, tell us what you know.
Hi, Dagan. That's right. The jury just passed a note to the judge saying it's unable to reach a unanimous decision on the most serious charge in this case, second-degree manslaughter. The judge said in the courtroom that he thinks he now needs to instruct the jury on an Allen charge, which is essentially telling the jury you need to go back into the deliberations room, talk more, consider the
Ellie, shout out to Ellie. Ellie, where did you get that information from? Ellie says some people say that the gun is a World War II model with a built-in silencer. Hey, Ellie.
points of other jurors and try to reach a consensus. At that point, if the jury comes back again and still does not have a unanimous decision, the judge would then have to declare a mistrial. But of course, we know if there is a conviction on this most serious charge, there are high stakes for Daniel Penny, who would face up to 15 years in prison. But so far, the jury says it's not able to reach a unanimous consensus on that charge. We know all eyes are on this case across the country. It's really
Okay, so what do you guys know about this case, okay? What do you guys know about this Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely's case? Some of you would say Daniel Penny is a hero. He's a legend and should be supported and should be given a Medal of Honor. I've seen this on X, okay? People are saying that Daniel Penny is a legend. He is a hero and should be given a Medal of Honor. Okay? It's like, I don't understand why this is something we support these days. A homeless guy, probably high on drugs, is making a threat on the subway. And if you've ever been on a subway in New York, you know it's a no man's land. All right? And there were two guys holding Jordan Neely's hands. Daniel Penny put him in a chokehold. Okay? So if two other guys were holding his hands, Daniel Penny, who is a seasoned Marine veteran, he knows how to de-escalate stuff. He knows the ways to disarm situations. He could have just released the chokehold a little bit and say, you know what, two guys are holding your hands. I'm going to release you now. I need you to conform or like act like you have some sense. Okay, because we don't want to escalate this. It's called de-escalation. He wasn't alone. Daniel Penny was not alone with Jordan Neely. People keep saying Daniel Penny is a hero, like he did it for the whole people in the train. No, there were other men right there. Daniel Penny put Jordan Neely in a chokehold, and two other guys were holding his hands, and he's supposed to be a hero. I don't understand. I'm sorry, okay? Because y'all gonna say what you're gonna have to say, but I don't get it.
Initiated a lot of conversations across the country, conversations on race, policing, and the criminal justice system. Jurors have asked to review lots of key evidence so far in the case, to include the video evidence of the chokehold, the 25-minute taped interview Daniel Penny had with police at the precinct when he waived his Miranda rights to answer detectives' questions. He didn't know Neely had died at the time. The jury also wanted to see yesterday a 1-minute clip of the chokehold that was captured by a high schooler who was on the subway that day. They also wanted the definitions of recklessness and negligence read back from the judge. So a lot more to watch here at the courthouse for sure, Dagan.
The second, let me back up. An Allen charge, you would think the judge would wait to read what they also refer to as a dynamite charge if the jury was deadlocked on both of these charges, as opposed to just one, because they're still going back to deliberate criminally negligent homicide, correct, CB?
So based on the notes I'm getting from the courtroom, Dagan, the judge is telling both the prosecution and the defense that he doesn't believe he can instruct the jury to deliberate on the second charge because they don't have a unanimous decision on the most serious charge, second-degree manslaughter. So to my understanding right now in the courtroom, he's trying to figure out what to do next now that jurors can't reach that consensus on the first charge.
Shout out to Average Joe. Shout out to Average Joe, bro. So Average Joe says the homeless guy was violent and threatening people. Of course, he's homeless. What, he's supposed to be like good? Bro, you're already homeless. Probably, definitely hungry. And you've heard the saying, a hungry man is an angry man. Okay. So there are ways to de escalate the situation, there are ways to disarm this guy. And if Daniel Penny was a normal, everyday guy, like a regular American, okay, great. But he is or was a Marine veteran. You are a Marine veteran. You have skills. Okay. You have a reservoir of skills to de-escalate situations. This is what you were trained for. Okay. So, I mean, you saying he was threatening people on the subway, that's what happens on the subway. It's called the subway. Okay. That's what happens on the subway. And probably every part of New York, this is what happens. Yeah, like if you've ever been to New York or lived in New York or stayed in New York or whatever, you know New York ain't no place. But I mean, if you mind your business, do your thing, you should be good. But anybody saying a homeless guy on the subway threatening people is supposed to be put in a chokehold and he lost his life. And of course, race comes into it. Now you've put race politics, identity politics comes into it because Daniel Penny happens to be Caucasian and Jordan Neely happens to be African American. So there you have it. You started another issue. In my opinion, Daniel Penny is a Marine. He has skills. He should be able to, analyze the situation, being that two men already restrained Jordan Neely on the left and on the right. So release the chokehold, okay? Can you try to do that? Release the chokehold. You are a Marine. You should, I mean, bro.
Interesting. So there had been 8 notes that had come out so far as of this morning before the jury reconvened at 10 a.m. in Lower Manhattan. 2 were about scheduling, but they definitely.
So this is the case, right? People always try to twist my words up. It's not Barter says it's okay that he was threatening people because he was homeless. No, I didn't say it's okay to threaten people because you're homeless and hungry and probably on drugs. That's not what I mean. I am saying that if you were already restrained on the left and on the right, what more could you do? And now you've been put in a chokehold. What is that? And you were put in a chokehold for so long that you lost your life. The government should have provided a place for homeless people to stay in the first place.
Seem, and please correct me if I'm wrong, seem to be looking into what was the judgment of the coroner about the cause of death, because that was evidence that was really pushed by the defense about, was it definitively the chokehold that caused the death versus what about the drugs that were in the system? What about pre-existing conditions like sickle cell disease?
Dagan, so jurors wanted to rehear portions of medical examiner Dr. Cynthia Harris's cross-examination when she talked about issuing a second death certificate for Neely. She testified during the trial that she issued that death certificate ruling Jordan Neely's death a chokehold without toxicology results. And she said during the trial that toxicology results wouldn't have changed her mind. And she said that the results could have come back with fentanyl, and her decision was confirmed on the basis of what she saw in that widely circulated video.
You see, there you have it. Now they're saying Jordan's result could have came back with fentanyl. So he was probably on drugs. Okay. So of course he's saying bullshit. He's saying BS. Okay. Mind my language. He's saying BS. Total BS. So him saying he's threatening people on the subway. Of course, he's threatening people on the subway. What is he supposed to be doing? He's homeless. There's nobody to talk to. Now you see train full of people. It's like, and you're high. Now, am I saying that what he did was right? No. But taking somebody else's life, though, that's like a no-brainer. That's like a no-no. And that's not, I'm not shading Daniel Penny because, I'm not throwing any shade on him. He's a Marine veteran. Respect to all the veterans. However, two people were restraining Jordan Neely already. Already.
Showing Penny restraining Neely. So jurors were particularly interested in that portion of her cross-examination where she talked about issuing the cause of death without the toxicology results. And I've been talking to a lot of legal experts about this case, and they say this is particularly interesting because it appears like the jury may not be able to find causation from Penny's actions and Neely's death.
Very interesting. CB, terrific work. We'll get back to you as this develops. Thank you so much, CB Cotton in Lower Manhattan.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno.
Shout out to you, Mr. McKinnon. So, what is your opinion? Let me know. Are you saying that, this guy, Jordan Neely, was restrained on the left and on the right? Are you saying he shouldn't have, reduced the chokehold a little bit? Is that what you're saying, Mr. McKinnon? Because I respect your opinion, okay? You should have your own opinion. My opinion is it shouldn't have kept going on the chokehold because there were two guys. I already showed you the picture before. I'm gonna show you again, okay? I'm gonna show you all again for the people who haven't seen it. I'm gonna show you again. Daniel Penny. Let me see. Daniel Penny, Jordan Neely. So let me see. Okay, so here is the picture. For everybody who has an opinion, now I need your opinion in the chat. That right there on the ground is Daniel Penny. Look, if you look closely, there is a guy on the right and there's another guy on the left restraining Jordan Neely's hands. So what? We're just supposed to let this slide. See what I mean? So I cannot in good conscience support this as well. And people are saying Daniel Penny is a hero. Like he's a hero on X. They're like, this man is a hero. Nah. To me, no. To me, no, guys. You already have two people restraining this guy right here. So yeah, we're not gonna go for that. Oh, I'm not gonna go for that. Y'all can go for that though. But I'm not gonna go for that. That's three guys against one. Okay. And he's supposed to be the hero. What about the two guys restraining his arm? That's not gonna fly. Anyway, with that being said, Karine Jean-Pierre is holding a White House press briefing right now, and this is actually live. Let's see what she has to say concerning Joe. Let's see what she has to say concerning Joe pardoning his son.
So obviously, this wasn't easy to come to this
He could have
decision.
reserved the right to consider it later. And when he's that declarative as the President of the United States, that's where it carries weight.
No, I understand. And Kelly, you know this president. You followed him during his vice presidency, right? You have covered him. When he's asked a question directly, he answers it directly.
So we are where we are. So does he regret that he had...
Okay, I have a quick thing at the top, and then we'll get going. On Tuesday, the president will deliver a speech in D.C. on his economic record and legacy, including his transformative investments in America, rebalancing the scales of our country in favor of workers, lowering costs for everyday necessities, and creating a small business boom. Just today, we learned more than 220,000 jobs were created last month, making this the only presidency in 50 years to have job growth every single month. Over the last 4 years, the president has rejected trickle-down economics and written a new economic playbook that builds the economy from the middle out and bottom up, not the top down. This is a strong foundation for years to come. As many of you have reported, including the Associated Press, Trump will inherit an economy primed for growth. And with that, Associated Press, you have the first question.
Thanks, Corinne. Is the president considering blanket pardons for either individuals or groups of people who are fearful of potentially being targeted by the incoming Trump administration?
So look, I'm not going to get ahead of the president, but what I can say is that the president is reviewing other pardons and commutations, and I do want to lay out a little bit of the history. The history the president has taken over the last almost 4 years, actions that he's taken, because it's important to note that the president has so far issued 20 individual pardons and 122 commutations. He's issued more sentence commutations at this point in his presidency than any of his recent predecessors at the same point in their first terms. This is in addition to groundbreaking categorical pardons that the president issued to address marijuana possession, convictions, military convictions in the LGBTQ+ community. And as recently as April, if you go back a couple of months, the president issued 11 pardons, 5 commutations for individuals convicted of nonviolent drug offenses who demonstrated a commitment to rehabilitation. So there certainly will be more to say, just more broadly speaking. And as you know, commutations and pardons are usually done when it's the president's final term historically around the holidays, and so certainly there'll be more to come. Anything outside of that, I would say that I'm not going to get into deliberations, private deliberations, and I'm just not going to get ahead of the president.
Are preemptive pardons on the table as the president goes through?
I'm just not going to. I'm not going to get ahead of the president. Certainly, the president is looking at reviewing next steps, and there will be more to come. I'm just not going to get ahead of the president. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals from here.
And then a different pardon question. In your first briefing here, as press secretary, you committed to speaking to the American people in, and I quote, in a transparent way, in a truthful way, and an honest way.
Yes.
And then in July.
Okay, I see opinions in the chat. So, Hingo, are you saying that, okay, you're wrong on the CEO of UHC, but you're probably right on this one based on my very limited info? I just, I gave you the information, bro. But I get it, okay? Most people may support Daniel Penny. Most people may say, well, he shouldn't have done that. There were two other guys restraining this guy's hands on the subway. Everybody has their own opinion, okay? I'm not going to fault you for your opinion. You have yours. It is what it is. Everybody has their own opinion. But this is mine, okay?
Here at this podium, you were asked about the president pardoning his son, and he said, it's a no, it will be a no, it's a no.
Yes, and that is exactly right.
So clearly of the president's son and that pardon, it became a yes. I'm wondering if you would like to explain to us, the American people, really why the information that you provided turned out not to be true.
And I answered this question on Monday. We spent about 30 minutes on this, almost 30 minutes, roughly 30 minutes on this particular issue. And I'm just going to reiterate what I said on Air Force One to your colleagues when I did the gaggle. And look, if you look at his statement, it's pretty comprehensive. The statement that he put out on Sunday when he made this decision to pardon his son, Hunter Biden. It's in his own voice. I think it takes you through his thinking. And he did. He wrestled with this. And again, he said in his statement, in his own voice, that he made that decision this past weekend. And the fact is, when you think about how the president got to this decision, circumstances have changed. They have. And a couple of things, and I said this on Monday as well. Republicans said they weren't going to let up, weren't going to stop. Recently announced Trump appointees for law enforcement have said on the campaign that they were out for retribution, and I think we should believe their words, right? We should believe.
Jean Pierre, cap on cap every single time. Arranging pair every time. It's always cap on cap. Like she has never stopped capping. Her name should be Kaepernick.
What they say. The sentencing was coming up, as you all know. There was a sentencing coming up, and the president said this in his statement, that Hunter and his family had been through enough. Enough is enough. And he wrestled with these circumstances, these changing circumstances ultimately. And the combination of that, the president changing his mind and issuing, certainly led to the president changing his mind and issuing this pardon. And one thing that I do want to point to, which I think is important, is what Congressman James Clyburn said when he was interviewed. He said, "I am absolutely okay with it. I don't know how many people urge him to do so, but I did." He seemed to be reticent about it. This is what Clyburn said when he spoke to the president 2 weeks ago. But I emphasized, continuing his quote, emphasized the fact that we as fathers have obligations to our children. So that was a conversation that the congressman himself had with the president.
And now she's talking, okay? Now she's talking. She says, as fathers, we owe obligations to our kids. Yes, this is what he should have done in the first place. I don't know why he said he wasn't going to pardon his son. I mean, bro, what father would never pardon their kid? You should. And that's what you should do in the first place. Like, that's not even a conversation. But why would you say you weren't going to do it? Okay.
Two weeks ago said that the president was reticent when he encouraged the president to do so. And this weekend, he thought about it and he weighed. It was not an easy decision to come to, and he put out a comprehensive statement. And I would certainly, offer that up to folks out there who are wondering. I would say, please read the president's response to this in full.
I'm sure my colleagues have a few follow-ups, just very specifically.
It's not only colleagues who watch this. There's also the American people. So to be fair.
Shout out to Amanda. She says, tough dad breeds adults, not criminals. You just never know. You never know. You pray for the best, but you never know. But shout out to Amanda there.
Told by you in July that this would not happen, and it did. Do you, I'm saying, asking for yourself, not the president saying, but for yourself. Do you feel like you are owed an apology by the president? Do you owe an apology to the American people?
Zeke, I just laid out the president's thinking. The president laid it out himself in his own words. He did. He laid out how he wrestled with this decision. He said in his statement, as a president, as a father, he talked about how difficult it was to make this decision. He thought about it this weekend. He did. He thought about it this weekend. He wrestled with it. And there are some, factors, some real factors that he took into consideration. And that's why I keep saying folks should just take a look. Take a look. Read his statement. And I know what I said. I know what the president said. That is where we were at the time. That is where the president was at the time. I am his spokesperson. This weekend, he thought about it. He wrestled with it.
Okay, so Mr. Danger says this is enabling behavior from a parent, and this is why Hunter is a man baby. Addicts prey on this behavior. Yes, you can say that, but I mean, this man has lost two of his children. Okay. One, he lost to the war in Iraq or Afghanistan or something like that. So, man, what is he gonna do? Throw Hunter on the street? This is the only child he has left. So he's supposed to do everything in his power to protect the only one he has left. Now, y'all can say he's a drug addict, he's whatever, but this guy is the only child Joe Biden has left. Two of his kids are dead. Okay, so even if they weren't dead, okay, support your kids. I mean,
he wrestled with it and made this decision. That's what I can tell the American people.
Why should they have any confidence in anything else?
I think the American people understand, and I think they understand how difficult this decision would be. And I would actually add, and I think it's important to note here as you're asking me these questions, important questions to ask, that there was a poll, a US Gov poll that came out, that some of you all reported on it, and it said 64% of the American people agree with the pardon. 64% of the American people. So we get a sense of where the American people are on this. Obviously, it's one poll, but it gives you a little bit of insight. 64% is nothing to sneeze at. But again, the president talked about this, his own words. He said this weekend, he wrestled with this. This weekend, he thought about this. And he made this decision. And let's not forget, we can't also forget what some of the legal experts and former prosecutors have all agreed on, many across the country, have virtually said no one would be criminally prosecuted with felony offenses with these facts. And they've all agreed. We've heard from many legal experts on this. You heard me quote the former Attorney General Eric Holder multiple times, I think about 8 times on Monday. No U.S. attorney would have charged this case given the underlying facts. Had his name been Joe Smith, the resolution would have been fundamentally and more fairly a declination, pardon warranted. And we've heard from many legal experts and also obviously a former U.S. attorney. Okay.
All of those things you laid out were known long before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And many Americans, in reflecting the 64%, certainly understand a father's point of view. But the president was declarative, you were declarative. You didn't give room for, depending on the outcome of the election or depending on the rhetoric coming from the potential next administration, the certainty with which the president and you portrayed the no pardon is part of where the question.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, Joe thought Kamala was gonna win. That's why he was making mouth saying he wasn't gonna pardon his son. I mean, what are you even talking about? You weren't gonna pardon your son. Man, you but sit down. So you're not gonna pardon your son. No, he felt like the Democrats were still gonna have the White House. I mean, if you have the executive power, it's fine. There's nothing that's gonna go wrong in your family. But now he knows he's losing the executive power, and Kamala didn't turn up for him because she didn't win. So what do you expect? He was being noble, and of course, he was pandering to the voters and saying, "Look, you know what? I respect the Justice Department. I respect the jury. I'm gonna let them take charge. I believe in the system." All that is cap. Okay, cap.
Comes from. Because all the facts that you have outlined were well known in advance.
And I would add, there has been some circumstances that have changed this, right? Republicans not letting up, saying they won't stop. They're going to continue to do this. I mentioned the recent.
You see, Karine Jean-Pierre, she needs to chill. As a matter of fact, if I had her job, and Joe Biden just say, "You know what? I'm going to pardon myself," I'm gonna say, "Sir, I resign." You have me out here saying you were not going to pardon your son like 20 times. And now you want me to come defend this decision. Yeah, I'm out.
Trump appointees of legal.
I respect your decision as a father. But you could have just said, "You know what? I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna look into it," because I would have done the same thing too. Who wouldn't pardon their kid? But you kept saying that you weren't gonna pardon your kid.
Enforcement positions, right? That said during the campaign they would have they were out for retribution, and so no reason to not take them for the word. I pointed that there was a sentencing coming up, as you all know.
That was well known.
I said there were multiple
That was
factors
well known.
here. Not one thing led to this. Multiple factors, and if you look at all of
Stop the
these,
cap.
it's a combination
Stop the cap,
of
please.
reasons
Stop
why
the
the
cap.
president wrestled with this over the weekend and made this
This
decision.
is just cap on
Now
cap.
we've had time, and the president has had time to absorb how the public has responded to this, to think on it further. Does he have any concerns about the fact that he had been so declarative and then granted this pardon? It's clearly done, and many Americans understand as a father how he would do that. But does he have concern about his credibility or the impact it might have on future pardon decisions?
So, and I will also say, just to bring up Clyburn again, because I think it's important, right? Because you were asking me what we said over the summer. Clyburn spoke to the president 2 weeks ago, and the president.
See, this is the thing right here. Who's that? Fanta and Crush says Hunter is a grown man, an adult, and should face the consequences of their actions. But that's if your father isn't the president of the United States, bro. That's why you can say this stuff. If your father was the president of the United States, you ain't finna be saying all this. You're not going to be saying this right here. You're being noble because you know nobody's gonna get you out of trouble.
He said, this is Clyburn's words, the president was reticent when he tried to encourage him to pardon Hunter Biden. And I think that is his son, obviously. And I think that's important to note. Look, I would refer you back to the last couple of sentences in the president's statement. And I think it's important here where he talked about wrestling this and wanting to understanding that the American people are fair-minded, and talked about the importance of doing this and thinking about this over the weekend and coming to this decision and how he wrestled with it. And that was, I think, a message directly to the American people. The whole comprehensive statement was something that he wanted to share with the American people. But I think the way he ended his statement actually acknowledges and wanted to be very clear to the American people his own personal thinking about this and understanding.
One thing is for sure, Karen is definitely gonna get a job at CNN for sure. Like that's not even a conversation because she knows how to rigmarole and tap all day. Okay, and like I said, okay, everybody has their own opinion. You can have your own opinion about this issue, but look, I don't really care about Joe Biden, okay? But the fact that you guys would think that a father would not pardon their child, that's the unbelievable part of this issue. The father would always 1000% pardon their children. It is what it is.
That they would look at this, and he believed they would be fair-minded about it. And this was not easy for the president. It wasn't. It wasn't. Because you all mentioned the statements that we have made over the summer. So obviously this wasn't easy to come to this decision.
The right to consider it later, and when he's that declarative as the president of the United States, that's where it carries weight.
No, I understand. And Kelly, you know this president. You followed him during his vice presidency, right? You have covered him. When he's asked a question directly, he answers it directly.
So we are where we are. So does he regret that he had misled the public about what would eventually happen?
Look. What I will say is he laid out his thought process. He talked about the underlying facts of the case. He thought it was very important. That was part of the first paragraph of his statement, wanting to explain and talking about the gun charges, right? Talking about the tax cases and wanting to make sure that they understood, like, these types of things would not be a normal reason to prosecute, right? Virtually no one would be criminally prosecuted with felony offenses with these facts. Whether it's absent aggravated factors, similar charges are rarely brought. When you think about gun charges, the tax cases, such as Hunter's, when taxes are repaid with penalties, are rarely criminally charged. They are handled civilly, and these are the things that the legal experts also agreed with him on, and so. He wanted to lay that out for the American people as well, and I, don't have anything else beyond what the president laid out his thinking in his written statement, in his words. I just don't have anything beyond that. Okay.
The president has also faced real swift criticism from members of his own party around this pardon. The Democrats have called it a setback, a mistake, said that they're worried Republicans will use this against Democrats in the future. Has the president felt the need to respond directly to any of his Democratic colleagues around their criticism of this move?
So look, what the president is going to focus on, and you've heard us say this, is running through the tape. He's going to focus on the American people. He's going to continue to deliver historic progress every day. That's going to be his focus. And if you think about his legacy more broadly, it includes getting us out of COVID. It includes bringing the economy back. It includes beating Big Pharma. It includes making sure that we had an infrastructure investment that we're able to do in a bipartisan way. We're talking about not just actions that the president has taken that people are going to feel today, but for generations to come. And so that's going to be his focus. I think folks in his party are going to have a lot of thoughts on this, obviously, but there have been, we've heard quotes and support from many elected officials. I just mentioned Jim Clyburn. There was Senator Dick Durbin. He said it's a right given to the president, a power given to him under the Constitution, and Joe Biden is using it in a very humane way. I think Hunter Biden has been exploited for political purposes. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time in American history, but I can certainly understand Joe Biden standing up and saying that he wants to protect his son. Nancy Pelosi, when she was asked about this particular issue, she said, "I support the president." Representative Jasmine Crockett, I think that it was the right move. And there's been others who have, in the Democratic Party, part of the leadership, and others who have supported this president and his decision.
Just, though, when the president is saying that he believed it was a political prosecution, does it make it easier for incoming Trump to also say that he's pardoning January 6 rioters because he believes that those are political?
Look, I'm not going to get into what the incoming administration is going to do or not do. That's not something that I'm going to speak to. I've been pretty consistent about that since the election. We've been very clear about where we stand on January 6th. And so I'm not going to get into that. But I think, and you all, some of you have reported this, Republicans have been his political opponents in Congress have been very clear about this. The president talks about this again in his own statement about how they took credit for bringing political pressure on the process when it came to Hunter Biden's plea deal. And so they took credit for that when it fell apart. They took credit for that. And they have said they're not going to stop. And so again, I'm not going to point to one particular reason for the president making this decision. There's been changing factors that led him to where he weighted this decision over the weekend.
And I just look at where Zeke started about the idea of preemptive pardons.
Yeah.
You clearly didn't rule that out. You confirmed that the White House is really considering that in response to
I'm not confirming anything. I'm just saying I'm not going to get ahead of the president on this issue. There's a process.
Are you ruling out the idea of preemptive pardons?
What I'm saying is I'm not getting ahead of the president. I'm not. He's going to make announcements on pardons and commutations. That is something every president, historically, presidents do, especially at the end of their term. And so that normally happens around the holiday. So you could expect the president making a decision. What I can talk to and speak to is this particular pardon a couple of days ago of his son and what he's been able to do. I laid out some historic actions that the president has taken when it comes to pardons, when it comes to commutations over the past 4 years, as recently as this past April. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals here. I'm not going to get into the president's thinking.
Have people come and asked the president for a preemptive pardon because they're worried about potential prosecution?
So what I can say is we've seen from advocates, right, who have been very public in lobbying the administration for pardons and clemency, commutations. We've heard from them. You all have seen it. So obviously we've heard them. I'm just not going to get into specifics of what we're going to do, not do. I'm not going to get ahead of the president, and I think you can understand that process.
These people can persecute the 45th president of the United States, but they don't want to be persecuted. Now, they're talking about who wants to go through all of that stuff, spending money to defend yourself, tarnishing your image. But you could tarnish the 45th. You could let him spend money, waste time, waste energy on those silly, flimsy, unethical situation that you put in. Now he's the 47th. Y'all are running helter-skelter, trying to give yourself preemptive pardons. That shows you're guilty. It's, in my opinion, it shows you're guilty. It just shows you are guilty. Because why wouldn't you wait? If you're so innocent, go to court.
We're going to keep going. Go ahead, Tam.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned that there is a process. I would love if you could spell out exactly how that process is working. Is it in conjunction with the Justice Department, who at the White House is handling it? And then you could answer whether the Hunter one was inside or outside of that process, but let's start with the process.
Well, no, I actually answered that question on Monday. The president made the decision on the pardon for Hunter Biden. The White House reached out to the Department of Justice because that has to be filed with the Department of Justice. It was the president's decision. There was no consultation with the Department of Justice. As you know, the president has the right to do this. So that was obviously a very separate process. As it relates to more commutations, more pardons, that process, obviously the Department of Justice is involved in that. There's a review process, and so that's how we're going to move forward on making those types of decisions.
And who at the White House is leading it up? Is it out of the counsel's office or is it chief of staff?
Well, look, obviously the White House counsel will be part of this process. I just don't have anything beyond that.
And just quickly, President Trump is going to be in France this weekend for the reopening of the Notre Dame, also meeting with President Macron. How does this White House view President Trump's meetings with foreign leaders happening while you're still here?
I mean, look, it's not unusual. As you've heard us say before, you've heard the National Security Council say as well. I think Jake Sullivan, when he was asked this question, the President's National Security Advisor, made that same comment. It's not unusual for when there's a president-elect for heads of states, foreign leaders to want to have that conversation with the president-elect. So I'll just leave that there. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Karine. Just follow up to Tara's question. Why isn't the President of the United States going to go to the reopening of the Notre Dame de Paris? Why not?
So just as you know, the First Lady is attending, and she's attending as part of her larger travel swing to Italy, UAE, and Qatar. So she will be representing the administration. They were both invited to be there for the reopening of the Notre Dame. The president had a scheduling conflict, which is why he was not able to attend. Any specifics on the First Lady's trip and what that's going to look like, I certainly would refer you to the First Lady's office.
The President was invited.
Yeah, he was. There was scheduling conflict, which is why he decided not to attend. But the First Lady is there, and he's very proud that she's there representing us. And anything further on her visit, certainly I would refer you to their office.
I have a question. Thank you, Karen. I also have a question on the Canadian Foreign Minister today launched the new Canada's new Arctic foreign policy, face Russia, China. 4 years later, and with a successor who seems to be skeptical, how does the President see Canada's involvement in mutual defense and international crisis?
So look, the President values our strong partnership with Canada and their leadership to this particular announcement on addressing major challenges of our time, such as combating climate change. As you know, the President has taken that issue very seriously by putting forth one of the most historic piece of legislation that really deals with climate change in a way that we have not seen any other administration deal with it. Canada's contribution, as you all know, to Ukraine's defense and multilateral security support mission in Haiti have been consequential, and so we value the Canadians' cooperation in securing the Arctic region and that is peaceful, stable, and prosperous and cooperative, and so again we value that strong partnership, and I think they have shown leadership. Many things that they have certainly partnered with us in the past 4 years.
Thank you, Karine. On Syria, as you know, armed groups are closing rapidly on many Syrian cities and against the Assad regime. How does the White House see the outcome or the best outcome, and what messages do you have to the regime in Syria?
So we're closely monitoring the situations in Syria and have been in contact with the countries in the region. And the NSC put out a statement just last weekend. The Assad regime's ongoing refusal to engage in the political process outlined in UNSCR 54, and its reliance on Russia and Iran created the conditions now unfolding, including the collapse of Assad regime lines in northwest Syria. So the United States, together with its partners and allies, urged de-escalation, protection of civilians and minority groups, and a serious and credible political process that can end this civil war once and for all, with a political settlement consistent with UNSCR 2254. And so we're going to continue to obviously defend and protect U.S. personnel and U.S. military. That is the president that has been always very clear about that. And so obviously U.S. personnel and U.S. military, they remain essential to ensuring that ISIS can never again resurge in Syria. But more broadly, to answer your question, we're going to closely monitor the situation in Syria.
Statement, developments are happening so fast. The cities after cities are falling. So maybe by the weekend we're talking about maybe the Assad regime is not going to be there anymore.
Well, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals of what's going to happen in the next couple of days or how it's going to play out. What we are doing, we're monitoring the situation. We're taking this very seriously. You saw the statement from the National Security Council just this past weekend. We're going to continue to stay in contact with countries in the region. And so that's what I can say that we're going to do, continue to be in touch, continue to monitor. I don't want to get into hypotheticals from here. Sure.
As you know, the Russians have been supporting the Assad regime since the beginning. But today they said they're going to play a limited role, in inverted commas. Is this a welcoming kind of statement from the White House that the Russians saying they're not supporting the regime the way they did in the past?
Look, I'm not going to get into what the Russians are doing or not doing. What we're going to do is monitor this really closely. We're going to continue to talk with the countries in the region. And remember, as I just stated, we have U.S. personnel on the ground. We have U.S. military. It is important to the president that we continue to make sure that they're safe. Their safety is considered here. I'm just not going to get into what the Russians have said and what they're going to do and not do.
Thanks, Corinne. Zeke asked this question, I just didn't hear an answer. The next time that the president says he will or won't do something, why should the American people believe him?
I answered that question. I don't have anything else to add. I answered the question.
Can you explain it in a way that's understandable?
What was your answer?
I can't speak to you understanding the question or not, or my answer or not on this. I don't have anything else to say.
She's still
I'm not
tired.
going to relitigate this. I did that on Monday for 30 minutes. I went back and forth. I laid out. I said, please read the president's really comprehensive statement on this. And I even said the last paragraph of that statement, he talks directly to the American people. And that's how I answered that question.
Can you acknowledge that it may have been a mistake by the president, you, to say multiple times unequivocally that he would not pardon his son?
The president laid out in that statement what changed, why his mind changed, how he wrestled with this decision. The president laid that out. I don't have anything else to add.
So that statement, he said in part, I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. Just to understand that sentence, I think it's important.
Yeah,
Is
for
it
sure.
that the president believes in the justice system except in some cases?
He believes in the justice system. He believes the facts are, obviously I talked about the gun charges, what legal experts have said, former prosecutors have all agreed virtually no one would be criminally prosecuted for underlying factors of Hunter's case. I talked about the gun charges, I talked about the taxes, the tax cases, and there are other factors here, what Republicans have said, as they weren't going to let up. I talked about the upcoming sentencing and what Hunter and his family have been through. I talked about the appointees by the incoming president on law enforcement positions, and he wrestled with it. He did. And I also talked about what Jim Clyburn said. So you're asking me about an apology, but Jim Clyburn said himself in a conversation that he had with the president just 2 weeks ago, the president said, the president was reticent when he encouraged the president. When he himself, Jim Clyburn, encouraged the president to move forward with it, Congressman Clyburn, the president, responded to him by saying he was reticent. And so This was not an easy decision. It wasn't. It wasn't an easy decision. And you know, it was a lot of circumstances here. And we can't pass over what legal experts and former U.S. attorneys have said on this. You know, and across the country, they've all basically agreed virtually. No one would be criminally prosecuted with felony offenses with these facts. And I have gone through the two important underlying facts of the cases. And you know, I just don't have anything beyond that to add or to say. You know, I've laid out our thought process. The president has laid out his thought process, and we've talked about the case. We've talked about his thinking. I just don't have anything beyond that.
The president just got back from a multi-day trip to Angola, where he engaged the press, I think literally one time, just to quickly confirm that he was getting briefed on the situation in Korea.
Yep.
His last foreign trip, it was 6 days in South America. As you know, he didn't engage reporters during that trip. After that last trip, he told us in this briefing room that he believes in the value of engaging the press. He enjoys it, you said. He will continue to engage reporters. There will be opportunities to talk to him. So why is it that he is avoiding reporters?
Look, we still have 45 days left in this administration. The president does. He does believe in the freedom of the press, right? He believes in that. I think we have shown in the last 4 years bringing back the norms of engaging with all of you. We have respected that process. I hope you guys think that we've tried to do the best that we can to do that. And the president he really does enjoy having a back and forth. And when the president, and I do want to say, he did take a moment to have a back and forth with all of you when he was in Nantucket with some of your colleagues who traveled with him. He did take some questions there, so it's not like he hasn't taken questions at all. He did have a
Okay, guys, so I'm pausing this broadcast to let you guys know that updates just came in 3 hours ago. TikTok will be banned on January 19th after appeals court opposed law requiring the sale or ban of US TikTok. Is this gonna happen for real, or Elon Musk is gonna buy TikTok? Because they're banning it because they're saying that a Singapore guy owns TikTok, and they're like sort of funneling information, crucial information, to China or something like that, and they want a US to own the US TikTok at least. So, do you think Elon Musk is gonna buy TikTok? Because he likes to do something like that. He likes to do it because he wants to buy MSNBC too. So if Elon takes charge of TikTok, oh, it's over.
he did do a gaggle when he was in Nantucket around the holiday and took some questions. And so he'll continue to do that. And look, he was really focused. And many of you who
Just
asked me
don't
this
understand how
question,
you guys think. Somebody said, yeah, that's good. Get rid of TikTok. Finally get rid of TikTok. Like, why though? Why though? People make a living on TikTok. Y'all know, right? It's just like saying ban YouTube, ban Facebook, ban Instagram. People make a living on these things, on these platforms. See what I mean? It's like saying ban the media. How would you get your news?
he was focused on his last.
Now, do I agree on the fact that an American should own TikTok, at least TikTok USA? Yes, absolutely. You know, it's just the point of like you saying ban TikTok, but why though? Why do you want? Because a lot of people get their information on TikTok, especially Gen Z. You know, I know it's like national security threat for information on TikTok should be funneled to China, obviously. However, it's like people do things on TikTok. Okay, so TikTok US should be owned by United States personnel. I get that. But banning TikTok overall, I don't understand.
CONUS. He had the G20, the last G20. He had APEC, which was all incredibly important. Wanted to focus on his engagement with.
Amanda, this is the case. Like Amanda says, I believe it's OnlyFans is the issue. OnlyFans is the place that you need. That's the platform that needs to be banned. OnlyFans. Okay, this is my opinion. You don't have to take it. OnlyFans is chilling, living life. You want to ban TikTok? Platforms like OnlyFans are not having issues. OnlyFans they're not having any issues. Okay, people are selling all sort of issues on OnlyFans, selling all sorts on OnlyFans, but y'all don't want to ban OnlyFans. Y'all want to ban TikTok. Come on.
Leaders, heads of states, he did that. The trip to Africa, as you all know, was a promise that he wanted to keep, and it was a great trip with very substantive discussion.
Wait. Amanda, are you saying that TikTok has OnlyFans? Is that what you're saying? Because you said, I believe it's OnlyFans is the issue. So you're saying that TikTok has a site on their platform that is dedicated to OnlyFans?
And we were able, again, to President to show his global leadership. And so I would say to all of you, you'll hear, you certainly will hear from him.
Did you just say bath water for sale? People are selling bath water. Man, there ain't nothing this man ain't gonna buy. I know men will buy bath water for sure. There's no way. There are things men buy. I'm like, why? What is going on? You're buying bath water? Golly.
In the next 45 days.
Do you consider it upholding norms for the president to basically not engage the press in at least 2 back-to-back?
What I would say is upholding norms is what we have been able to do in the last 4 years, and I would encourage folks to look at the 4 years more broadly, and what the president has been able to do, and what the president has engaged with all of you. And again, I would say, especially from here.
Now, according to the updates, the word on the street is older, newly divorced women are the big consumers of OnlyFans for younger guys. So older women who just got divorced are the ones that are consuming the heck out of the content on OnlyFans. Is that true? Let me know in the chat because I want to know.
We have always respected and want to continue to respect the freedom of the press and have a healthy back and forth. And that is the norm that I think, yes.
That bath water got me. Bath water. Who's selling bath water?
The administration won't be able to use up the nearly $7 billion in military aid that Congress had approved for Ukraine before the president leaves office. How much money do you estimate that will still be left when the president leaves? And is the president concerned that the incoming administration is not going to get that out the door to Ukraine?
So, as you know, back in September 29th, we put out a statement. The president was very clear about wanting to surge resources into Ukraine and wanted to make sure that they had everything that they need as what was happening on the ground, the situation on the ground, circumstances on the ground was changing. And our commitment has been very steadfast. You have
Zara, I
seen
agree
since,
with you, bro.
that date,
I definitely agree
continuing
with
to
you. It's
make announcements
legalized. Yep.
on assistance
Straight
going
up.
towards Ukraine. I don't have a number for you or an estimation of how much money would be left or not left in the next, after, we've got 45 days, as I just mentioned. I would refer you to the Department of Defense to get that specific number. But we are committed to getting the money out the door. We are committed to make sure that Ukraine has the resources that it needs. As you know, we have led that. This president has led certainly that charge globally, making sure that Ukraine has the support, making sure 50
Bath
countries
water
get
for sale.
gotten behind Ukraine.
Yeah,
The
y'all need to
fact that the
contact
NATO
Amanda,
alliance
bro.
is stronger than it's ever been before, and I think you see that commitment from this president, and so we're going to continue to surge that.
With this acknowledgement that there will be funding left when he leaves, and given that this has been such a top priority for the administration and for this president, is he worried that when he leaves, that the incoming administration is going to leave this money on the table and not get it out?
And so, look, again, I'm trying to be really mindful not to get into hypotheticals or what the next administration is going to do or not do. We got to let that process move forward. What I will say and remind folks that we got that funding.
Fancy says bring back shaming.
how we
Yeah,
were able to
absolutely.
get that,
Bring back shaming, bro.
funding
Make
to
shaming
make
great
sure the
again.
resource we're
You guys are too funny, man. You guys are too funny. Like, I do know for a fact that people sell feet, picture, hands, back, hair, lips, face, like all sort of part of the body. But like bath water, this is the first time ever I've heard that people are buying bath water. What? Who buys bath water? For what? What does that even do? But according to Amanda, it's for sale. Okay.
Resources we're getting into Ukraine. And so that was done in a bipartisan way. And we can't take Russia off the hook here, right? They are the aggressors here. They are the ones that went into a sovereign territory. And again, we say this all the time, this war can end today if Russia would stop their aggression. But again, it was done in a bipartisan way. We can't forget that. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. Karine, before the election, the Senate passed a bill that would have added an additional 60 judges to the judiciary. That bill is now going to the House, and there are some Democrats who are now not supportive of that bill because it would mean President-elect would have an additional 60 judges to fill. What's the...
Zyro. Bro, you are the wildest. This is the wild. Look, y'all gonna give me high blood pressure today. Look, Zyro. Zyro says the best is the canned fart. Let me tell you. He.
or judge spaces to fill. What's the administration's view on that bill? Would the president sign or veto it?
And so I need to talk to the president and Office of Leg Affairs about this. I have not had that discussion about this particular bill. As you know, we have been pretty aggressive and steadfast in getting.
Y'all need to put me up to date because this is all new to me. What do you mean? First of all, canned fart, bath water. Now Amanda says gamer farts. So like, what do you mean by gamer fart though? Amanda, put a list in the chat. Put the list in the chat, Amanda. We need to talk about this. Amanda, put the list in the chart. You said bath water. You said gamer fart. Amanda seems to have the list. Amanda seems to have the list. Now that I'm thinking now, Amanda. Put in the chat, Amanda. Zyro 2. Zyro's Garden. You sort of kind of have the list. So Zyro's Garden, Amanda, put the list in the chat. Okay, put a list in the chat because people may be shopping. This may be Christmas wish. Okay, some people are wishing for Christmas deals. Do they have Black Friday deals? Let's know if they have Black Friday deals and if they are doing affiliate marketing. Maybe we can affiliate market their product.
Our nominated judges, qualified judges. Through in the Senate process. And so we have been able to steadily do that over the past couple of weeks on this particular legislation. I just need to talk to the team. I don't want to get ahead of them.
Right. And one more on pardons.
Sure.
With having pardoned his son, some of the criticism that came from the left, including, I believe, Black Lives Matter, was that black men have been unfairly charged and imprisoned and don't have fathers who have the ability to pardon them. Does the fact that the president has pardoned his son, who was convicted by a jury and did plead guilty on the tax charges, put pressure on the president, or does he feel pressure to do an even greater number of pardons this time around for people who don't have that privilege?
So there's a process. The president's going to go through it. I'm not going to get ahead of him. But again, I do want to, I hope folks don't forget what the president has been able to do, the actions that he's been able to take over the last 4 years. I went through them just to touch on them a little bit. He's issued 20 individual pardons, 122 commutations. He's issued more sentence commutation at this point in his presidency than any of his recent predecessors at the same point in the first term. This is in addition to the groundbreaking categorical pardons that the president issued to address marijuana possession convictions and military convictions in the LGBT plus community. And let's not forget what he was able to do in April. 11 pardons 5 commutations for individuals convicted of nonviolent drug offenses who demonstrated a commitment to rehab. And so there's going to be more to come. But what the president has done, he's shown his commitment to making sure that he takes these pardons as he has over the last 4 years in a way that is important for communities that you just spoke to. And he's talked about the criminal justice system. He's talked about he's taken actions in a way that we can address with the inequalities of the criminal justice system. And I would say that this president's commitment has been very clear on this, and has been very, has been very steadfast and has made a difference. There's going to be more to speak to in the upcoming weeks, and so certainly the president will address it.
Does he have a response to that kind of criticism?
Look, again, I just laid out what the actions. I don't.
Does he get that some people feel that their sons and daughters deserve the same?
And so I will say, and I keep going back to his comprehensive written statement because he speaks to his thought process. Obviously, I've said this many times. He speaks to wrestling with this. He speaks to the underlying factors, as I've mentioned many times from here, and he speaks to how Republicans have politically gone after his son over and over again and continue to say they're not going to stop. And you've heard from legal experts who have said that if his name was Joe Smith.
I'm asking about these other people who are also in jail and were also convicted.
Right, and I've answered that by talking about the actions that the president has taken. I've answered that by pointing to the president's statements, him wrestling with this and laying out his thought process. It was in his own words. And you also asked me if there are going to be additional pardons. There will be. We're reviewing it. We're trying to figure out the next steps in this, and you'll hear from the president on this in the next couple of weeks. But we can't put aside the important notes that I made about the actions that the president has taken on issues that matter to the community. And again, I said he's issued more sentence commutation at this point in his presidency than any of his recent predecessors at this same point in their first terms. That matters. He's taken this very seriously, and so, that's what I hope folks would take from that. A president that's been very serious, that's taken actions, and that's how I'm going to answer that question. Go ahead.
Thanks, Karine. When you're standing there at the lectern, you are White House Press Secretary speaking on behalf of the President, conveying his thoughts and views of the administration. And it's for that reason that you said on his behalf all those times that he had no plans to do what he did on Sunday. Has he expressed any regret to you directly, personally, for having put you in this position and now having to go back?
Look, I understand this question, and you started off, I think the way you started off the question is basically how I feel, right? And I think all of us who work in this administration, I work for the president, I speak for the president, I comment on behalf of what he feels and thinks, and that's my job. That's my job as the press secretary, the White House press secretary, the person who speaks on behalf of the President of the United States, and that's how I feel. I feel like it's my...
Did he apologize to you?
Look, there's no apology needed, maybe, to answer that question. No apology needed. What I will say is, this is a president. You've heard me talk about the legal experts, what they have said, how they agreed with the president in taking this action. You've heard me say that over and over again. I've laid out quotes from different U.S. attorneys, prosecutors, who really laid out how the underlying factors of Hunter's case would not lead to what had occurred in the past several months. And I will also say this, and you heard this president say this many times before, he believes when it comes to his family, when it comes to how he moves forward about thinking about his family. They're the beginning, the middle, and the end. And he wrestled with this. It was not an easy thing for him to decide. There's a reason why I keep bringing up Congressman Jim Clyburn, is because this is someone who spoke to the president just 2 weeks ago and encouraged him to do so, to pardon his son. And at the time, the congressman said 2 weeks ago that this president was reticent. So obviously he wrestled with this. So no apology needed from him to me.
One of the other things he often says is that voters should trust his, quote, word as a Biden. Should they still?
Yes, the president.
This was a pretty big, defiant public pronouncement by him that he wasn't going to do this anymore.
I hear you and I understand. But the president wrestled with this. He truly did. And, you know, I called out the U.S. Gov poll where 64% of Americans, that's not a small number, agree with the president's decision to pardon his son. And I think that gives you a little bit of a tiny window of where the American people are on this.
He sidestepped a judge and a jury's decisions on the cases involving his son. He criticized the political nature of the prosecution. The next president has spent the last several years vowing to upend the Justice Department and the FBI. Looking at their current and future presidents, why should any American continue to have confidence in the American justice system?
Well, the president does have confidence in the American justice system. And he said that in his statement. Certainly continues to have confidence in the Department of Justice.
Leaders who single out incidents that involve them or their families and say, well, that'd be unfair to me, but the rest of you should agree with it.
Can I just be very blunt here? The situation with Hunter Biden and what the incoming president has said are very different.
But they're making similar arguments, which is that they've been unfairly prosecuted because of who they
Our cap, the level of a cap is just on another level. You guys said you weren't not going to pardon this guy, and you did. So why should the Democrats believe you guys? You guys have lied to your people, and now Democrats are saying, you know what? What is the difference between Republicans and Democrats? Okay, you guys said Trump was a bad guy, and he was above the law. He presumed himself to be above the law, and the Republicans support him. But now, what are you doing? What have you done? Biden has set the Democratic Party 10, 20 years behind, because now, what are you going to say? You're not above the law when the son of the president just got pardoned. It's not going to work.
But I don't think those two things are the same. I just don't. They're not the same. They're just not. And I think the American people understand that. I do. I do think they believe and understand that they're not the same. What the president's son had to go through, and what we've heard from legal experts, former U.S. attorneys general, who look at this case, who understand this case, and have said, there would not be this situation. And I think that's important to note as well. And they've been very clear about this. We've heard from many of them, legal experts, former U.S. attorneys from across the country.
Stop the cap.
Have all agreed virtually no one would be criminally prosecuted with felony offenses with these facts. I talked about these facts as it relates to the gun charges and tax cases that obviously Hunter Biden's case. And so that is, you can take their word for it. You can take their word for it. Okay.
Wait. I'm going to bring that back. So Deborah Tice just told the National Press Club from a significant source in our government, Austin Tice is alive. Is that what they were told today here at the White House?
I don't have anything to share about conversation on this particular matter. What I can say, though, is that
there was a meeting here today
no,
at the White
exactly.
House
The National Security Advisor to the President, Jake Sullivan, did have a meeting with Austin Tice's family this afternoon, and Jake Sullivan has regularly met with the families of wrongfully detained Americans. So this is in line of what he has been able to do. And so we're going to continue to make sure that we get Americans who are wrongfully detained or Americans home to their families. You've seen that. I think you've seen that commitment truly from this administration, what we have been able to do certainly in the last several months over the past 4 years. And we brought home 75 unjustly detained around the world. So we work around the clock. We partner, obviously, with partnership with our allies, and we negotiate the release of Americans. I don't have anything to say about that particular statement, but obviously, Austin Tice's family. I can't even imagine what they're going through right now as they think about Austin Tice, as they, I'm sure, have continued to hope and pray for Austin to come home to them. And what we have been committed to is making sure that Americans get home. 75 Americans unjustly detained around the world. We have been able to do that because of this president's leadership. And so I think that matters, and I think that shows the president's commitment.
Great.
Go ahead. I know. Yeah, where you go. Go ahead.
Thanks, Corinne. So soon after the president announced the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah, President-elect Trump's team immediately, claimed credit for it. Just last week, there was a video out, released by Hamas of one of the hostages. Is the White House working with the Trump team to negotiate, the hostage crisis?
So what I can say is we're going to continue to work 24/7 as we have, day and night, to secure a deal. And that would certainly free the hostages, bring about a ceasefire in Gaza. And so we have been in touch with the president-elect's team to ensure that they're aware of our efforts. And so we believe they are supportive of them, the president-elect's team, and these conversations have been constructive. But we have been doing the work for some time, right? We've been working around the clock in getting that done. And so that's what we're going to continue to focus on. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Welcome to the live show. Yes, y'all, this is a place where we get together, we share opinions. Nobody is above anybody, okay? Everybody, we're just having a good time. Freedom of speech. Unless you become, I guess, abusive or maybe stupid, or you don't know how to have a conversation without cursing somebody out, or no, you know what I mean? So you can do whatever you want pretty much here. Okay, do whatever you want, say what you want, accept, respect everybody's opinions, and don't shame anybody for their opinions. Okay, it is what it is. God bless you guys for tuning in. Okay, so guess who won the Patriot of the Year? Shout out to the moderators, Amanda, Average Joe, and also my boy, I see you, Zyro Garden. God bless you, bro. And thank you to everybody for tuning in. Check this out. Trump won the Patriot of the Year yesterday.
I just want to say we're going to bring prices down. We're going to make our country safe. We're going to stop people from robbing our stores and hurting our people. We're going to, and we'll get involved with governors, including Democrat governors, because that's.
Shout out to the legend.
I just want to say we're going to bring prices down. We're going to make our country safe. We're going to stop people from robbing our stores and hurting our people. We're going to, and we'll get involved with governors, including Democrat governors, because that's unfortunately, whether you like it or not, that's where the crime is. It's in virtually every case, it's with Democrat-run cities and states, and we're going to stop it. We're going to work with the governors and the mayors, even if they're Democrats, and we're going to get it down. And we're going to bring our country back, and it's going to be bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And we're going to be proud of our country again. Right now, we're not so proud of our country. We're going to be very proud of our country again. It's going to be better than ever before. It's going to be more successful than ever before. We're going to be more respected throughout the world than ever before. Countries are going to respect us again. They already do, actually. I think you have seen more happen in the last 2 weeks than you've seen in the last 4 years, and we're not even there yet. We're not even there yet. So I just want to thank, this is a fantastic group of people. This is a fantastic turnout. This is very impressive. And you're my friends. You're my friends, and we're going to be friends with this country. And we're going to do something that I've been talking about for 8 years. We had it done. We created the most successful economy in the history of our country. We were doing so good. Our border was the lowest numbers ever, the lowest number of illegal immigrants coming into our border that we ever had. The famous chart. Do you remember the chart that I looked over to the right? Ooh. I still have that throbbing feeling. That beautiful chart that I looked over, well, that chart showed we had the best immigration, the lowest number of people in the history of our country recorded. In the history of our country, that's what we achieved. And we're going to achieve it again, and very fast. It's going to be very fast because we have no choice. But we're going to do something that I've been talking about for 8 years. We're going to do it again, and we have to do it again. And that's, we're going to make America great again. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tyrus. Thank you, Tyrus.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
So wait, this is like his first award in like years, because everybody has been against him, but now the awards are gonna be rolling in. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna run you guys with one or two more, and that would be it. I think Jeff Bezos wants to be part of this administration.
Welcome to this special edition of Hannity. I'm Tammy Bruce, in for Sean tonight. With just a month and a half until Inauguration Day, yippee, President-elect Trump's second term is taking shape. I love even getting to say that sentence to you guys. And even Jeff Bezos says he's optimistic about the next 4 years. Take a look at this.
I'm actually very optimistic this time around that we're going to see. I'm very hopeful about this.
Man, you know you ain't hopeful. You've been against this guy for 8 years now. You want to be part of it. Man.
He seems to have a lot of energy around reducing regulation. And my point of view, if I can help him do that, I'm going to help him. Because we do have too much regulation in this country. This country is so sad.
Somebody says, not bozos. He was now with Trump. Okay. So everybody wants to join the winning train, the moving train. That's what everybody wants to be a part of. When things are down, everybody runs away. But when things are looking all jolly and looking all bright and colorful, he wants to be a part of it. He wants to be the next Elon Musk, guys.
Set up to grow.
Wow, everybody's really getting on board, aren't they? Meanwhile, more details are coming to light about Trump's mass deportation plan. According to a new report, illegal immigrants will be deported to countries other than their own if their home countries refuse to accept them. Good. According to the report, those countries include, but may not be limited to, Turks and Caicos, Panama, and Grenada. Now, as more details about the Trump administration's plans come to light, incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune has set a busy schedule with, get this, no Senate recess until March, as he looks to quickly usher in Trump's agenda. Trump also continues to fill out senior administration roles, announcing that former United States Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Public Affairs from his first term, our friend Monica Crowley, will
Wait. What was that long deep breath she took? Hopefully, she's okay.
Treasury for Public Affairs from his first term, our friend Monica Crowley.
Whoa, what was that? What was that, guys?
Administration roles, announcing that former United States Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Public Affairs from his first term, our friend Monica Crowley, will serve as Ambassador, Assistant Secretary of State, and Chief of Protocol of the United States in his upcoming administration.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Yeah, something must be wrong with her. I hope she's okay. That was too much of a deep breath. That was too much of a deep breath. Okay, so everybody knows the OG, the 45th, the 47th president-elect wants to make the United States great again. But what are his GOP colleagues saying in the House?
You don't hear too much about it, but among Republicans, it isn't Pete Hegseth that concerns them. It's the president-elect's choice for labor secretary.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this right here is the labor guy, the pro-union guy. Well, the Teamstead leader right here speaks about the 47th president-elect and why people support him and supported him way before he even won the election.
Secretary, the Oregon Republican Congresswoman Lori Chavez Reamer, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. A lot of people are kind of scared off by, certainly in the Republican Party, her sweeping pro-union bill. She was among those to vote for.
Shout out to Russ. Russ says he's the 47th and he has the Senate and the House. Like, it's a red wave, guys. Red tide, according to Russ. Shout out to Russ one more time. You know what time it is.
In the Republican Party, Protecting the Right to Organize Act aimed at expanding labor protections. A champion of that joins us right now, Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters General President. Sean, you were quite pleased with this. You've probably heard that many Republicans are not. This caught them by surprise. Obviously, President-elect Trump was sending a message here. What do you think that was?
Well, I know the message was clear. We demonstrated that labor and the American worker supported the Trump administration overwhelmingly. And I think Trump recognizes that. I think his administration recognizes that. And it's a step in the right direction for not only organized labor, but also the American worker. And, you know, the Republicans have a great opportunity to demonstrate what they were saying all along, that they want to be the pro-worker party. And so the proof will be in the pudding moving forward. I clearly endorsed the Secretary of Labor, and I'll stand by that all day long.
You know, I'm just wondering the fallout that President-elect Trump is getting from this is not nearly as extreme as some of these other potentially controversial picks, but there are Republicans concerned that he is getting too close to labor and too close to guys like you.
Well, I think it's reflective of his personality. There's a lot of far-right Republicans that didn't agree with this, and one thing he proved is that, you know, he's going to do right by what he believes to be the right thing by labor. I think he showed tremendous courage and conviction by going against the far right, and I think over time it'll demonstrate that the American worker and labor organizations are very valuable. We want a seat at that table. We want to make certain that we develop relationships. There shouldn't be lines drawn in the sand. Let's work together and get some things done on behalf of the American worker.
Sean, I'm just curious. I mean, you famously appeared and spoke to Republicans at their convention. You had hoped to have the same opportunity. Democrats never got it. You were a gentleman about it, but I'm wondering if anyone has apologized to you in the Democratic Party. We goofed, Sean. We're sorry about that. We want to make amends. Anything like that?
No, absolutely not. And look, I didn't expect that anyways. What we did at the RNC was very important, and it wasn't a speech that leaned Democrat, Republican. It was focused on what needs to happen in America for the American workers. It highlighted what our problems were with corporate elitists. And look, I'm not looking for apologies. The Democratic Party has an opportunity to refocus, look in the mirror, and see what they could have done differently. Look, this whole
Absolutely. This is a chance for the Democratic Party to actually go back to the drawing board, learn how to listen to the people, draw up some new policies, and then come back to the people. Revitalized. Okay. You have to revitalize yourself and come back to the people and learn to listen to the people. I feel like, well, I've seen that the Democratic Party do not listen to the people. They like to judge the people, tell the people what they should believe, tell the people what they should feel like, how they should feel, and then point to the people not supporting them and saying, you guys are illiterate. You guys are not educated. Why are you supporting this guy? Especially if you're brown skinned. or whatever immigrant who came here legally, who became a United States citizen like me, it took me 5 years to become a United States citizen. I went through USCIS, I went through Homeland Security. I had to learn, read, learn the Constitution, learn so many things, took the test, finally passed, became a United States citizen. And now it's like, well, you don't even know what you're doing. You're voting against yourself. Why? Because I want secured border, because I want a better economy, because I want low mortgage rates, because I don't want the United States funding to be sent to 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 give ammunitions to people like Ukraine. Why don't you be a diplomat and advocate for peace? You know what I mean? Like, they only know how to shame people for their beliefs. This is what I believe about the Democratic Party. They only know how to shame people for their beliefs and for their opinions instead of actually listening to them and say, you know what, we want to listen to what you have to say. Why do you think this way? So, is this what you think is going to be better for you and your family? Why can't that be the situation? Must you shame people for what they believe in? Do not shame people. If you are a public servant, if you are in the government, your job is to listen to the people that vote you in, not telling the people that vote you in to not vote for the other person because, if you vote that way, then you're voting against yourself. Why though? Why though? Give me a reason I should vote for you. Don't just, like lie about stuff. Don't try to push ideologies to me. Tell me why I should vote for you, not just point it to the other person saying this person is bad for you. Okay, I get it. But what are you going to do?
Election, from the Democratic standpoint, they based it on social issues. Social issues are very important, but our
Right.
members, the American workers, are concerned about the economic issues.
Sean, it is what it is. I am just wondering, I mean, you ended up not endorsing either candidate. You didn't commit to either candidate, even though there were polls that showed within your membership they preferred Donald Trump by a substantial margin. So why didn't you just go ahead and say, we are supporting Donald Trump?
Because we've got other constituency that are the Democrats and also independents. So, we've also got to weigh out our
But that didn't stop
decision.
you in the past from backing Democrats.
Right, but remember, we did extend.
And this is the thing, like Democrats will say, well, go read Project 25. That was a campaigning strategy by the Democratic Party. Now, even CNN, who championed all of that stuff, they're not more talking about Project 25. Nobody's talking about Project 25. You know why? Because they used it to campaign against the Republican Party, against the OG Trump, for real. Everything was just for Trump. And like, okay, JD Vance was the person that wrote the four letters or whatever they called it. However, it's like you are the president of the United States, Joe Biden, and your vice president, who happens to be the first woman vice president of the United States ever, is now the person running as the forerunner of the Democratic Party to be the next president of the United States. And she's saying she wants to give $25,000 tax credit to people who are first-time home buyers. You want to give $50,000 tax credit to small businesses. You want to give $6,000 as child tax credit. Why don't you start doing that right now? You want to protect the border, okay? The border bill that Donald Trump killed, we're going to bring it back and we're going to sign it. Newsflash, you are the vice president and your mentor that you said was the most consequential president of our time is the president of the United States. You always say, Joe, we did it. Bidenomics worked. It's working, guys. And you want to blame price gouging. And you were there. You said you went to Ukraine. She said she went to Ukraine. She went to Russia to speak with some people to stop the war, whatever. And all of a sudden, the war started. So it's like, nobody can even believe these people. Like, nobody can believe these people. Now, everything she's campaigned on, and of course, she copied no tax on tips, which she never said again. She said it one time and never said it again. However, it's like everything she campaigned on right now, she just got back from Hawaii. She was in Hawaii taking a break. While all of this is going on, she went on vacation to Hawaii. She had Beyonce, Oprah, Taylor Swift, Eminem, Samuel L. Jackson, Lizzo, Megan Thee Stallion, Usher, Tyler Perry. Who? J Lo, every Fat Joe, everybody supported Kamala Harris. Everybody. Everybody supported Kamala Harris. But guess what? She lost. You know why? Because celebrities, Hollywood stars, Hollywood lifestyle would not help. Okay? Trying to buy these people, bring them over, buy them, bring them over, pay them to come talk to the people is always not going to work, especially now. Trump has changed everything. Like, Trump has changed the political landscape of the United States. He has changed everything. Whoever is coming out right now, whoever is coming out right now, if you do not come with substance, if you do not come with the things that you're gonna do for the American people, don't even bother. Okay, Taylor Swift ain't gonna save you. Even if she has 2 billion followers, 2 billion followers ain't gonna save you. Taylor Swift's 2 billion followers ain't gonna save you. You know why? Because Taylor Swift do not know the price of gas. She does not know what the mortgage rate is. She does not know what a gallon of milk costs. You know why? Because she doesn't. She's going from tour to tour, working hard, making music, entertaining people. She doesn't have that time. The normal everyday Americans, like the farmers, the truckers, the carpenters, the welders, the HVAC professionals, the construction workers, the everyday single moms, the everyday married women, the fathers, these are the people who know what time it is in the United States, not the elites, Hollywood people. Nah, that's not the people. So that's why she lost. And now whoever is coming out as a Democrat has to understand these issues. You have to understand that I have to connect with the people. I have to be authentic because obviously Kamala wasn't authentic. She wasn't authentic, okay? It's just what it is. So she lost. And I hope she's not coming back in 2028 for presidential campaign anymore because there would be primaries that time. And I don't think she's going to survive the primaries. So she might be going to California and she might lose too in California. But we know Gavin Newsom, what people call Gavin Newsom, is coming for 2028 for sure. Gavin Newsom is coming for 2028. That's for sure.
Extensive polling, Neil.
Yeah.
And both candidates weren't strong on certain issues that are important to us, like the right to strike under the RLA.
Yeah.
There were a lot of determining factors. So, look, we stand by our decision as a General Executive Board. We've done pre-polling, as you know. We've done post-polling, and they are exactly the same. So we stand by our decision, and we look forward to working with the administration and making certain that we hold people accountable for what they intend to do for working Americans.
You're going after Costco right now. I guess that they are preventing or making it very difficult for workers there to unionize. What's the latest?
Well, the latest is, I mean, they're a typical white-collar crime syndicate. You know, what they say and what they do.
That's a little extreme, isn't it?
No, it's actually very accurate. You know, they've once a very friendly company embraced their workers. They've had some changes in CEOs. They're not investing in their workforce anymore. They're more focused on their balance sheet, the bottom line. They don't respect the process. This week we filed a lot of unfair labor practices across the country because they are trying to squelch our members. They're impeding on their First Amendment rights. So they picked a fight with the wrong union, I can tell you that. And the contract expires January 31st, and they're going to determine whether they want a labor stoppage or not.
All right, we'll follow it closely. Sean, thank you very much. Sean O'Brien.
Shout out to Sean O'Brien, man. Team Star. You know what time it is. Thank you for tuning into the live stream. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. I see you. All right, let me give shout out right now. Shout out right now. It's time to do some shout out, man. You guys are the best. We've been streaming for like 2 hours, 53 minutes. You guys stayed. Okay, so Average Joe for sure. God bless you for tuning in. My dog. Okay, Amanda. Shout out to Amanda. Thank you so much. And for the people who don't know, Amanda has the plug. She has the connect. She has the plug. And you know what time it is. It's up for sale. Okay. Black Friday. Hit Amanda up. She has the goods. Okay. The good stuff. Shout out to Amanda. Shout out to Zyro's Garden. You know what time it is, Zyro's Garden. Fancy. Fancy. God bless you. Thank you for your service. God bless you, Brody. Thank you. Who else, man? Ursula. God bless you. Russ Wilkerson. Thank you, Russ. Uh, everybody who tuned in, God bless you guys. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are the best. And thank you to all the veterans in the chart. Bernard Kakoff too. God bless you. Yes, man. Everybody who tuned in, you guys are the best. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams and believe in God. Life is hard. Things may be hard right now, but don't give up on yourself. You know, keep going. Stay disciplined. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Even if you don't find the light at the end of the tunnel, just keep going. Okay. Do it for yourself. Do it for the people that love you. But firstly, do it for yourself, okay? Most people say, I want to do it for my mama, do it for my kids, do it for, yeah, I get it, okay? However, what about you, okay? You are the only consistent thing in your life. Do it for yourself, okay? Wake up in the morning, decide to be great, decide to be responsible, decide to be a good person for yourself, okay? For yourself, all right? We came here to this world alone and we're going to go by ourselves, all right? So please do it for yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. Get some food. Eat good. Okay. Get some rest. Rest up. Okay. Get your energy. Get your mental health in check. Relax if you have to relax. Breathe if you have to breathe. Okay. It's not that serious. Life is hard one more time, but never give up on yourself. Okay. I love you guys. You guys are the best. Amanda says, "You're gonna get me." Nah. Well, I think Amanda, you're the funniest. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. I will be back, let's say by 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Between that time, I will be back, and we're gonna talk about Trump's um, assassination attempt hearing. We're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna actually watch it. So um, yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back here. And obviously, general news. So, God bless you guys. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. I love you guys. It's your boy Genesis, and I am signing out.